Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Sunday evening of Valence League Fun Day Sunday Racing. I am the VR Racing Director, Blaze. This week on the F1 pre-show, we have the Red Bull special. So I'm joined by Red Bull captain Travis
Hello.
and Red Bull driver 2 turned commentator for this week because Lamar Liverpool, Alex.
Hello.
And I think, barring any bias, we might be able to get some juicy gossip out of the Red Bull team for this week, but we'll see. So let's crack on. Let's first take a look at the results of a race which actually happened. Travis, we did it. We finished a race without any major hiccups.
We finally done it, gentlemen. It's actually
last week-
happened.
It's last week was the first after bidding Monaco off twice, and then just before that, before we had how do you describe it? An up and down break. There was 3 attempts at France before we got it to work, and then there was a long pause because we couldn't run anything. Imola, or last week, it finally happened. We finally got a race. Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Let's take a look. Travesty coming out top of the pack. Shocker. Alex, the other Red Bull man here, 4th, just missing a podium. Podium last week, Travis, Sonny, and Crispy finding his way up there. Williams, new boy. Glenn 5th, Somtha 6th. Rodinho, one of the substitutes, bringing it home 7. Someone else has actually scored points for Aston Martin. Shadow 8, Copy 9. Law rounds off the point scorers in 10th. Other classifiers were myself, Gabe, and Carlos, all the way down to 13th. And then the DNS were Calm, unfortunate, Hodgson, and Maka, which I think we're going to start there. I don't know if you two Red boys knew what happened to Hodgson and Maka, but it was. Go on. I've got a way to describe it, but I want to see what you're going to come up with first.
I was directly behind Hodgson when he went out, and it was quite spectacular. I'm not gonna lie.
It was this bizarre, synchronized. They both made the exact same mistake at the exact same time, even though they were 2 cars apart from each other. I don't know what did you see from behind Hodgson?
I just saw him kind of mount the corner, and then his back end just goes, and he sort of leaps into the wall. And I'm just driving past and going, "Oh, Hodgson's gone." And you just see the corpse of Ferrari just splattered across the track.
It was definitely very much a hopes and dreams of Ferrari went down the pan, because from where I was, just a little bit further back than you, I saw an Alfa Romeo go airborne and fly off, and then I saw a Ferrari sort of spin across the ground to the left of the flying Alfa Romeo off into the barrier. So from where I was stood, it looked like it looked like a pool shot. So there was a third car that I couldn't see, pool shot through the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari, pushed those 2 exploding into the barrier. But it turns out, no, when you watch the footage back, and when you watch the stream back, Cradden shouts about Hodgson dying, and then Impress mentions that Maka has also bit the dust, and they just both made the exact same mistake at the exact same time, one after the other, almost like a really bad Ferrari version of synchronized swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was spectacular to drive through it so closely as well. And it did end up bringing out the safety car, which really shook things up, in my opinion.
I definitely think the 2 safety cars definitely had an impact on certain people's races. Not that I feel a bit sad about how it went. But let's go. It's the Red Bull special, so let's go with the Red Bull bias. Travis, you did medium, soft, medium?
No, I did soft, hard, medium.
Soft, hard, medium.
That's right.
So soft on the start, hard in after the first safety car, and mediums after the second one.
That's right.
I suppose I should preface this with qualifying was wet, so everyone had free choice of tyre because Parc Ferme doesn't let you have free choice because everyone did Q2 in all wets and the race was dry. So we had a mixture of people up and down the grid. Alex, for example, you started on the hards because of an unusually bad qualifying and did hard, soft, medium.
Yeah. My idea was because, as you said, I went out quite early on in Q2 because brakes don't work in the wet. I decided to start on the hards, just sort of stay out of any incidents, trundle along, and then really make the positions up later on where I can go on the much faster compound of tires, and I've got the hards out of the way.
How did the tires play out for you, Trav? Like, how did the second safety car throw your initial thinking of, oh, now I need a whole new plan, sort of develop?
So when the second safety car came out, immediately eyes were on how many laps are remaining. Can the softer compounds fit within however many laps are left? And the best tire at that time were the mediums, which is why I went into the pits and switched, compared to Sunny, who remained on the hards. And well, yeah, the story writes itself. I finished P1 and Sunny finished P2.
I'm sure Alex, you're disappointed to not get on the podium, but as a team, first, fourth must feel good. I mean, it's still what 37 points.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, starting P13, any haul of points that I can recover is good. But to get P4, and I think I lost the podium 2 laps from the end, which does sting a bit, but credit to Crispy, the man was quick. So I'm not overly upset about losing it to him. I mean, he started P2 on the grid, so he's definitely got pace there. But as you say, it just, with no other team getting even close to that, it just extends our lead in the constructors by quite a margin.
The only other thing, Trav, then, the junior team, which was only comprised of Law, 10th, but it's still a point. Any insight into how Law's drive went? Was he expecting points? Were you targeting points? Are you happy with a single point?
Yeah, a point is a point. Law also had 2 stops. He followed the exact same strategy as me. I know he enjoyed the track a lot. I think he did have a bit of a rough time, but that is pretty much expected of Law to finish in the points. And yeah, he did a solid one.
I mean, he outscored 3 Ferrari drivers, so
Exactly,
it can't
yeah.
be too bad at the end of the day. um, anything else, Trav, jump out to you as a surprise finish? Anyone there you think they should have been higher, should have been lower? I know Somtha had a bit of a doot with someone at the end. Obviously, Sonny and Crispy round out the podium. Crispy's first actual good finish in VL since he made the jump from BBU. Anything across the top 10 jump out as a surprise, or is it kind of what you expect? Or was there someone that wasn't in the top 10 that you'd think, oh, I thought they would have got points?
Towards the end, Somfer really gave Sunny a run for his money, and had Somfer remained in the fight, I don't think I would have been able to pass either of them, just because Imola is so difficult to overtake around. The only real place to overtake on Imola is that long straight. Otherwise, good luck trying to find somewhere else to pass.
Definitely a driver's track rather than a racing track, you could say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless you're in a GT3, in which case you can send it anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So Somfer finishing 6th, not ideal. Unfortunate that he had a collision with Gaben. Yeah, the rest of the field, though, round about what I expected. Glenn finishing 5th, the only Ferrari there. Hodgson finishing out of the points. However, after speaking to Hodge, he did say he was suffering a lot with his setup, which is why he DNF'd.
Ferrari R&D department looks like they need to step their game up. The only other thing, Cradden mentioned it. He was obviously he's not here, so I'm gonna have to mention it. Travis, after the first pit stop, and you saw that I was leading the race and Glenn was second, and Sonny was just behind Glenn under the safety car restart. What was going through your mind, or what was going through Red Bull's mind, or from a team management point of view, when you think, yes, that's what I need to battle, and Glenn is currently in the way?
what was going through my mind was, I hope these two hold Sunny and me up as long as possible. I don't want these two to get overtaken at all, and if they do, I need to just get through as fast as I can. And watching Sunny just waltz through Glen and then waltz through you two coming through Aqua Minerale, it was a horrible feeling.
Travis, Cradden did say something to the effect of, "I'm sure Travis is currently not happy with the position he's in," but sometimes that's how it go. Because we did also have the era of not having ghosting on. I think if ghosting was off as it should have been, I don't think anyone could have predicted how that race would have ended. Because I think about 9 drivers at some point held their hand up and said, "Yeah, if ghosting was off, I would not have finished that race in a pile up somewhere." I don't know if that happened to any of you two at any point, but I think a lot of people said, "Yeah, if there wasn't for ghosting, I would be front wing deep in someone else."
I didn't feel the benefit of the ghosting, although I think I had one time where Gaben lagged back into me and then ghosted. But yeah, overall, I didn't see much ghosting apart from Quali 1, I think, or Quali 2, where you were across the track and I drove through
yeah.
you, which I didn't know
Spooked.
about ghosting at that time, so I was a bit spooked.
Anything from you, Trev?
Yeah, to go completely opposite from Alex, both me and Sunny had a run in. I think Carlos had a wobble on exit of turn 1, entry of turn 2, and he went onto the gravel. And he rejoined the track quite slowly, but positioned his car in such a way that most of the track was taken up by his car. But he was blue flagged at the time, so both me and Sunny just traveled straight through him. Had he not been ghosted, one of us probably would have DNF'd for sure.
Well, ghosting is now correctly set to off. So who knows? Crispy could win a race because Travis and Sunny end up driving into a back marker, or some other bookiness happens. The only thing that I want to mention from last week then is Calm. Now, a lot of people think, "Oh, Calm's coming back. He always has the opportunity to mix things up." He did get a bit upset because he thought Alex partly was to blame for his retirement, because I don't think he was I remember him being in call and he just saying, "Alex, I'm here, bro. I don't want to battle you, but I'm here, bro." Like, you either you didn't realize he was there or there was something else going on, but he was just trying to be near you and you denied him some space. But we're not here to debate if it was an issue or not. But it's more, people think, okay, Calm's coming. He's going to mix things up. He could be top 3, could be top 5. He ends up in a DNF. Hot tires lead to a couple of spins. Safety car comes out fortuitously for him, and then a mistake with Alex results in contact with a barrier. Do we think we're ever going to see Calm come back to old Calm? Do we think this is a one-off? Did you think Trav, "Oh no, Calm's here, I need to book my game up"? Or did you think, "Okay, Calm's here, Lamar, let's carry on anyway"?
Whether he's there or not, I think the general idea is to just do the best that I can. And my goal is not to win races. My goal is to have an enjoyable race, have the most fun as I can during that time. And whether Calm's there or not, that doesn't really affect my game plan. The goal was always, as I said last weekend, to win the race. I really wanted to win Imola, and I really wanted to get what I wanted. So Calm being there or not didn't really affect things. However, I did know that Calm really doesn't enjoy this year's cars at all, and it shows. Right, his pace was more on the case of midfield instead of being the top of the top where he was before.
He did pull off a little bit of Calm magic where he was at the back and he just seemed to drive through all the midfield drivers. It wasn't until he had the hot tire spinny go round that it seemed to then come crashing down.
Mm-hmm.
But he probably wasn't going to drive through everyone to get to a lead, but he might have driven through everyone to get to sort of, 5th, be ahead of Glenn behind Alex.
Yeah, his racecraft is still very much there. It's just that his pace has taken a huge hammering.
What do you think for you, Alex? Do you reckon if Calm turns up, he's a risk of battling for you at the back end of a podium, or are you not really considered? You're more worried about like Crispy, Sunny, Glenn, Somther, or is there
Um,
always the chance that Calm's going to do that thing he does where he's like, oh, Calm suddenly decided to be quick today?
I think on the current game, it actually depends on what track there is. So if it's a track where the handling changes have really hit what you can do, so the tracks like Spain, Russia, where there was sort of struggling for grip anyway, I think Calm's going to have similar performances like he did at Imola, where the changes are too much for him and he's not putting in the practice now because he's not enjoying the game as much. And I can fully understand that of if you're not enjoying the game, why would you want to put even an hour's practice a week into it? So I don't think for the entire season or the remaining races that he'll consistently be up there. But would I be surprised if he comes back and wins a race? No, not at all.
The only thing to mention for the only thing left to mention for Imola then, there were 3 penalties submitted. Only 2 were resolved in the end. Gaben ended up with a 10. Rodinho ended up with a 5. Rodinho now no longer with a clean license because second race and he's managed to tarnish it. Gaben the same. I don't think he had any points until last week.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't give you any racing rivals, I'm afraid, because Colin Luzarelli and Cradon are both unavailable. And there's not really any of the news that we need to worry about that I can think of between now and start of the race. Nothing's happened in the past week, should I say. We are going to look at implementing a more... We'd like all the drivers to be in VL Discord in their... sorry, sneeze. In their team calls or in the general call to make it easy to organise. But I think that's about the only thing we've done this week. Trav, unless you think there's something I've missed.
No, nothing's coming to the top of my mind.
Cool.
I think we're good
So,
to move on.
moving on to driver standings then. Travis, still king of the kings. Yep, we're going to go with that one. King of kings. You drop this king. Hands crown. Travis, 87. Sonny, 60. Nice. A. Lamau. Charmander bringing up 62. You could go, there's a gap at the top. The next 2 are the best, and then we can go with best for the rest. Somther, 47. Glenn, 46. In fact, now I look at it, you're getting some divides. Travis 87 on his own. Then the next 2 drivers are close. Then the next 2 drivers are close. And then the next 5 drivers are close.
Yeah,
Crispy 27, me 26, Maka 25, Monty 25, Fly 17, knocking out Hodgson from the top 10. And Fly has missed 2 races now. And I'm sure there's one person here in particular who had a smile on his face when he had to realise Hodgson's no longer in the top 10. The driver that thought would be the only other one to challenge Travis and Alex. 5 races in and his name's not even on that list. For reference, Hodgson is currently in P11
I think.
with 16 points.
That's right.
He's 1 point off Fly, who hasn't raced for 2 points. And he's 71 points off of Travis. 16 points in 5 races is definitely not a haul you'd expect Hodgson to have. I know Hodgson is what's the word? Marmite, but also he's harmless, but people have that, Lamau Hodgson. Alex, I know you and Hodgson haven't had the best racing experiences together. Renault, obviously, we'll not touch on that, but 16 points for Hodgson after 5 races going into round 6. He's 10 off me, and then off the drivers he'd expect to be battling with Somther, who's on 47. That's 50 something points. Did you expect this from Hodgson? Do you think he's finally been found out or something else?
This is definitely completely unexpected. However much Hodgson is sort of memed on, he's usually a fairly consistent driver. Like you'd expect him to get points in most of the races, but the fact that he's only scored 2 6th place finishes and retired in the rest is very unusual for him. So it'll be interesting to see whether that form changes.
Travis, is there anyone else that you think for now is a false flag, or they're surprisingly up there? I mean, Mack has only scored 25 points, and that was from one race. He hasn't scored in any of the race yet. He won second Austria, 25 points, and that's it for 5 other races. Is there anyone that you think they should be there or they aren't there?
I think the biggest false positive here is probably Flyer, who hasn't raced since Spain and is just hanging on in the top 10 at 17 points over there. Yeah, Hodge being behind and an active driver, it's not a good look for him. Especially since last season, Hodgson, in my mind, was the benchmark for being at the top of the field. If you were consistently being Hodge, you, in my mind, were at the front, right? So to see him disappear is just, I'm dumbfounded. I truly am. But yeah, seeing Marker in 25 points, he's flying. Hopefully he increases his points. I want to see him climb his way up. Seeing him DNF at Imola, not so good, but hey ho. The greatest shock for me is Mercedes having a really good time. Look at them, 3 drivers in the
All
top
3
10.
of us.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Is there a risk, Alex, that you think? Obviously, you could say your closest driver at the minute is Sonny. Is there anyone in the 5 or 6 drivers directly below you? It's only round. We're now going to round 6. There's a long way to go yet. Is there anyone out of the 5 drivers below you that you think they're also going to probably end up quite close to me in the next couple of races? I need to start looking over my shoulder.
With how consistent he's starting to be, something's always going to be a worry. I mean, he's got pace, and something's issue from last season was sort of keeping that pace for an entire race. Now he's starting to get there, which can be quite concerning. He got a podium in the French Grand Prix. So Somther is sort of really starting to step up his game, and if I don't sort of keep pushing, then he'll certainly catch me.
There we have it. Mercedes might actually finally be able to compete with a Red Bull. In our world, that's unusual. In the real life F1, whatever. In this world, a bit more unusual. Moving on to constructors. Obviously, Red Bull's still significantly out the front. 159 after 5 races. Aston Martin, no longer just Team Sunny. Second place, 75. Ferrari, 62. Mercedes, 55. Williams, 45. Alpine, 35. There's a lot of 5s here. Alfa Romeo, 25. McLaren, 21. Haas, 18. And AlphaTauri bringing up the rear at 11. 159 does seem like it's a sort of insurmountable lead. 75 for Aston Martin. Well, Sonny scored 69, so there's 6 points that have come in from a reserve driver who was undrafted. So maybe Aston Martin could be considered for, in the pack with Ferrari, Mercedes, purely because Sonny is going to score the majority of the points and someone else is going to be there just to keep it ticking over. Trav, do you expect Aston Martin to stay second, or do you expect a team like Ferrari, which has got, Red Bull, Ferrari, which has got Hodgson and Glenn, or Mercedes, which has got me and Somther, 2 good drivers, as opposed to Aston Martin, which is a really good driver, and then just whoever's available that week to hold on to second place?
Well, it all depends on what reserve Aston Martin has at the end of the day. If we take that out of the equation, Mercedes has Somfer, who is on the flyer right now. He is on the way up, and I expect him to keep that trend. Ferrari, Glenn is doing an absolute solid. He's consistently finished high throughout every race so far. Hodgson, I'm sure, will come back. All he needs is a bit of motivation and a kick up the arse, and I'm sure he'll be flying. Yeah, I still expect Ferrari and Mercedes to take on Aston. When it comes to the reserve for Aston, I expect both me and Alex will finish ahead of them no matter what. So the real contender here is Sonny. It all depends on him. He is the one that changes things here. If he consistently finishes first every race, then I could see them keeping second. But eventually, Sonny's gonna have an off one, right? Eventually, he's
An
gonna have a bad
accident,
race.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're human. We all make mistakes. It happens. All it takes is for Sonny to DNF, and suddenly their lead drops. Like 75 points versus 62. It's not a lot. It's not a big difference between those two. So yeah, a change can happen very quickly.
Especially when, like you said, you'd expect two Ferrari drivers to be scoring points. If Sonny doesn't score and both Ferrari drivers do score, that 13-point gap could very easily evaporate and become a deficit.
Exactly.
Alex, I spoke to Travis about this last week, but have a fresh mind from the other Red Bull driver who's a bit more likely to be a little bit less political. Ignoring Red Bull, you're way out in front. What other teams, considering, 75 Aston, 62 Ferrari, 55 Merc, 45 Williams, 35 Alpine, is there any team there you'd expect, or any two teams you'd expect to be second and third, or is there anyone that's surprising you?
Gotta take my hat off to Tony for single-handedly carrying Aston Martin to second, but to reiterate that point, I don't think it's gonna stay. With Ferrari and Mercedes, in terms of constructors' points, relatively close behind, and they have two drivers. As soon as something like Ferrari start actually having both drivers finish a race, then that lead's going to drop very quickly, in my opinion. And I think it's going to be a Red Bull and then followed by a Ferrari Mercedes in either order. I know Sonny is quick, but at the moment he is a one-man team, and over the course of a season, that's not going to last.
Looking forward to tonight, then, at the Dutch Grand Prix, Circuit Zandvoort. I think the first thing we'll do is we'll quickly catch up with an interview we had earlier with Sonny, and then we'll go into tonight's possible events. I just want you to listen to this, and then we're going to have a chat, because I think Sonny here shows he knows he's up against it big against Red Bull. I'm here joined with the Aston Martin star driver himself, Sonny. Good evening.
Hello.
Second in the championship, 2 race wins under your belt. Imola was close to your third race win, but didn't pull it out in the end. How did Imola go for you then?
It was tricky with a new track, but it went better than I expected. I didn't expect Travis to be that fast that he was, but I'm happy with 18 points in the bag.
It's a race where we had safety cars, which have been quite rare so far this season, and typically in VL. Did the second safety car or 2 safety cars sort of throw you off, or did it help in the end, or how did the safety car jumble affect you?
It did kind of throw me off because I did not expect Travis to go into the mediums after the second safety car, which just put him in it was his race to lose. Like, he was just so fast on those mediums, so it just made sense that he would win.
You finished second in the end, quite comfortably in the podium, but Crispy was only 9/10 behind you once you take everything into account. Did you expect anyone like Crispy to be, up in there this early in the season, or were you expected to be battling against like Trav and Alex and Calm if he was on form, or are you surprised there's new drivers up there as well?
I'm not really surprised because I know how good of a driver Crispy is. But I definitely did not expect Carm to be that far back. But I was definitely hoping to see Charmander up there as well. So I was kind of surprised about that.
This week coming up, Zandvoort, second time we've done it in VL. There's no Charmander nerd this weekend. We have got Travis though. As far as I'm aware, Calm will be there. So you've got a mixture of the people you would normally think you'd be battling against. How you faring? Practice going well? Are you confident?
Fairly. I know Sarnvor is kind of more favored for Charmander, which is quite nice that he's away then. But I'm still considering Travis to be a big threat with the form he has this season.
Are you? Is there anyone in particular that you think you're going to have to look out for at Zandvoort? Obviously, you're always going to be expecting to battle in Trav. Crispy's shown he's got a little bit of something. Sompfer's shown it. Gaben and Maka have had. Well, Maka's won a race this season. Gaber's obviously got BBU form. Are you worried about anyone else trying to hog the podium spots? Or are you still confident for this weekend?
Fairly confident because I know Maka is a good driver, but I don't think has the form to come out on top of me and Travis. So I definitely think it's gonna be a 1-2 for either of us, Trav and me, definitely.
You're currently second in the constructors. Travis is on 87 points. You're on 69 Lamau points.
Nice.
But obviously you're second. Did you ever think, before the first race had even started, did you ever think that you'd be in second? It's only 5 races gone, and obviously there's a long season to go yet. But did you ever think, oh yeah, I'm actually in a title fight with Travis, or did you expect there to be more drivers, winning races regularly, so there's less of a share of points? Like, how do you feel like the first 5 races have gone for you in terms of your battle with Travis?
I feel like France was definitely easy for me because I know the track inside out. It's my best track by far. But I was definitely expecting Hodgson maybe being up there. Charmander being closer. I mean, sure, he's really close to me, but I definitely expected them, Travis and Charmander, being 1-2 in the drivers.
I suppose you can just be happy with the fact that you've managed to stake a claim. Obviously, there's a long way to go yet. There's always a chance you can. Travis isn't going to hold the championship lead for the whole season because people make mistakes. But as long as you're there to jump in, coming up with the next, I don't know, say 5 or so races. Do you think there's any race in particular where you're thinking that can be win number 3, or are you just sort of taking each week as you come?
I take each week one race at a time, but I'm definitely looking forward to Portimao and after the summer break or winter break or whatever.
Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, the second half of the season, which is mostly favored for me because I feel like last season I definitely had strong races from there, so I feel like I could do even better now. But I definitely think it's going to be close either way.
I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing your title fight with Travis develop over the next, well, just shy of 20 rounds left. We'll see how Zandvoort goes to you. If there's a chance, we'll try and chat to you after Zandvoort. But thanks for joining us for now.
Thank
and
you.
Good luck with the race.
Thank you.
The only thing something jumped at me straight away, and this question will be posed to both of you, I suppose. But Sonny knows he's up against both of you. Are you surprised that he's willing to admit, or not willing to admit, but are you surprised that he's genuinely feels like he's up against it more so than he thought against both of you? As a driver, and obviously he's not considering the team factor, but as a driver, Trav, are you surprised Sonny's acknowledging the battle as much as he's trying to, give himself an edge?
No, I don't think I'm surprised. I think he's matured since his last season. Last season he came in. Initially, I think he was a bit cocky. I won't lie. A couple of races after, he had the DNF at Austria, for example. Had a shaky mid-season. I think that allowed him to mature, especially with the help of BBU assisting him, just helping him to find his feet. I think he's really coming into this with a level head, and it also helps that he's getting a bit of a slipstream with how well he's doing so far in the season. You know, he's taken a win at Austria. He's taken a win at France. It's only a matter of time that he wins again, right? You know, like he said, Portimao, fantastic track for him. He's doing really well on time trial. Yeah, I'm sure he'll pick up a couple of dubs and he'll keep this fight going.
Portimao is the first track after the Christmas break. Alex, are you gonna come into it knowing that he's out to win it, or do you think that rookie mentality is still there? Again, he admitted that he's up against it, and he knows that you're one of the drivers he's going to struggle with, and has the pace around him. And if you have some good form, you're going to win. But is there anything there that makes you think, okay, I can beat Sonny, regardless of the fact that he's doing well currently?
So, targeting Portimao, in my opinion, is a bit of a weird target because it is a new track, and on the F1 game, we've not raced there as a league before. We don't know what it's like in terms of safety cars, incidents, other things like that. So immediately coming out and saying you're going for the win there can come across as a bit cocky. Do I expect him to do well? Yes, definitely. He's put a lot of time into it. But targeting a win at a new track is shows a bit of the mentality of I'm quick in time trial, therefore I must be quick in the race, which I think has been Sonny's major downfall. And I hope it doesn't come back to bite him, but it possibly could at that track.
I think what everyone said though is fair. He's matured, but he still has elements of being rookie Sonny, which everyone gave him a bit of gripe for last season. But he is proving, at least it's not idle boast. He's second in the championship. He's won a race. He's pushing you two specifically as much as he can. Coming into this week, then he's gonna try and do it again. It's Zandvoort again. In my opinion, is a bit like Imola. It's a fantastic track to drive, not necessarily a fantastic track to race on, especially in open wheel formula cars with dirty air, and you need wider surfaces, and overtaking can be hard unless it's DRS. It's not like a GT3 car, but you can just yoink it up the inside of someone on a hairpin and it'd be fine, because if you touch, you trade paint, there might be a bit of a scuffing. You do it with an F1 car and you're going to be missing a wheel. I'm not saying he's going to be aggro, but on a hard to pass track, is there anything you two, I'll go with Trav first, look out for is, okay, I need to keep Sonny behind me, or I need to keep any driver behind me. We can expand past Sonny. When are you thinking of passing? When are you defending coming into something like Zandvoort, Trav?
Into the final straight, really. The pit straight is the only place I can think of for a safe, fair overtake. Besides that, the inside of turn 1 is another good spot. The rest of the track, good luck. There's only one line through most of the corners, and finding any position to go side by side between turns 2 and 14, it's not happening, honestly.
There is one other DRS straight after turn 10?
Yeah, there is, but it's very small and it's more of a setup, in my opinion.
Yeah, unless you're passing someone you've got a definite pace advantage over, and you can already be up their exhaust coming out of the hairpin before it. It's more of a, like you said, a preparation. I know you're not racing this weekend, Alex, but assuming a world where you are going to be racing Zandvoort, it has been noted that you tend to like the tracks where you're out for a Sunday drive because there isn't much racing to do and you can just be fast on your own accord. Is there anything particular with Zandvoort that you see as it's one of its better features, apart from the last banked corner?
Personally, I think, and it's one of the reasons I do love Zandvoort, same with why I love Monaco, it's very punishing for mistakes. If you get on the power slightly too early on a lot of the bank corners, you lose control, especially turn 3. You might lose the back end coming out of that corner, but because the straight after it is so long, if you make the mistake, that then becomes a passing opportunity. And it's up to the following drivers to stay close enough behind that they can make advantage of that, but not too close where it ruins, their lap, their tires, everything like that. So it's more of a track that is focused a lot more on the mistakes rather than pure pace, which is interesting to, as a spectator, it makes it a lot more interesting to watch.
Okay, then. Last thing I want to do then, quick fire stuff. I'll go Travis, then Alex, Travis, and Alex, Travis, and then Alex. Some opinion-based ones, some where it's more, what would you expect the most of the grid to do? So, for example, Travis, 1 stop or 2 stop if it's dry.
1 stop.
Alex,
I'd agree 1 stop.
Travis, safety car or no?
Safety car, for sure.
How many?
Ooh, I'm going to go with 2.
Alex,
I'm going
safety
to
car
go.
or no, and how many?
I'm going to go. Yes, there will be a safety car, but only 1 safety car and a couple of VSEs.
Race more interesting if it's wet or dry, Trav?
I think in the wet, it is going to be a absolute sleeper race. And I think in the dry with DRS, you're going to see some action.
Alex,
Trav's hit the nail on the head there. I think people are too scared with a wet race, so I definitely want to see it dry.
Travis, you or Sonny for the win?
Sunny.
Alex,
I've got to back my boy Trav.
Ferrari or Mercedes? Travis,
Mercedes.
Alex,
I'm gonna go with Mercedes on this one. I think Hodgson's always been a bit shaky at Zandvoort.
Okay, then last one. If Calm races, podium or top 5 or neither? Travis,
Top 10.
top 10. Alex,
DNF.
DNF. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mercedes are going to beat Ferrari. We hope it's dry, so it's a 1 stop. 50-50 on if Sonny or Travis will win it, but Mercedes will beat Ferrari, and Calm will be somewhere on the track. Who knows? Or all I can say is that's it for this Red Bull special. Hopefully next week we can spice it up. I imagine Travis will be back. Cradden may be back. We may throw another curveball. Thanks for joining me, Trav.
That's no problem. It's been a pleasure to be here once again.
And I hope you enjoyed it for your first time. Hopefully not your last, Alex, but thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great experience.
So, coming up next, Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix. We've heard some predictions from here. I'm sure the casters will give you some 90, 30, 10s and some other spice to keep it going. But for now, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with all the action live here on VLR 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday evening to you all. And welcome to a very special edition of VLF1 on the official VL stream. My name's Cradden. I'm your returning commentator. And I've got a very special situation where I've got my other 2 commentators live in my own house. So coming first to our tourist from Italy through Germany all the way to Liverpool, Sandro Caparafire. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing all right now that I'm next to these awesome 2 boys.
Yeah,
really
boy.
good.
Yeah, glad to hear it. And Alex or Charmander, you've just come from a brilliant pre-show. I'm surprised you were able to talk for so long on camera. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think I'll need a break after that. It's been long talking, but I guess I'm gonna have to keep going. So
Yeah, sounds good. We have got a lot to cover. We did actually have a plan. I agreed this with the Ferrari guys beforehand. We thought that Charmander sitting 3rd in the title race was a really big problem, so we had to get him out of the grid for a weekend, so we just got him to cast instead. It works every time. One thing we are going to do, though, is we're going to go to a voice that we haven't heard yet. It's our Ferrari captain, Glenn, and we're going to get his views on the upcoming weekend, what's going to happen with qualifying, what's going to happen in the race, and I believe we can give you his thoughts live on stream.
We're here with Project Ferrari captain Glenn.
How's it going, folks?
We're just couple of things to go over then. Personal result from last week, Imola. New track. How'd it go for you? How'd you feel?
For me personally, Imola was okay. Obviously, I battled some game bugs in qualifying, which retired my car randomly. The race itself was pretty good for me. I finished, I think, P5, pipping Somtha with penalties alone. But for whatever reason, I kept having sort of disconnection issues. For the project, however, it was less rosy. Obviously, Hodgson and Maka, they both retired on the same corner at basically the same time. Both just losing control. And for Gaben, he didn't retire. He went into the back of Somtha, got wing damage, had to pit, and I think he finished around P12. He was out of the points anyway, and he got slapped with a 10-second penalty for the privilege. So for me, great. For the project, a bit more of a mixed bag.
Zandvoort this weekend coming up. Dutch Grand Prix, second time running it in VL. Personal aims. What are you personally aiming for this week? Has there been much practice on the time trial front? Any 50s or are you just looking to secure points or looking for something bigger?
So generally, my aim's to be in the top 10 and score some manner of points. I don't generally try to put too much pressure on myself to be at a certain level, so long as I get something. I haven't done a great amount of practice. I did a mock 50% with Somtha yesterday, just to see what tire strats were like. It was originally aimed to get Hodgson in on it so he doesn't crash out, but he was busy, so that went by the wayside. But yeah, I think just within the top 10 would be ideal for me personally.
You've got the full complement for tomorrow then. Two in each seat. Gaben and Connor in the Alfred, yourself and Hodgson in the Ferrari. Anything you're sort of aiming as a team for the upcoming race? Is there any goals or anything that you're trying to specifically aim for or stay ahead of?
I'd like ideally two things. I'd like none of us to retire and all of us to finish in the top 10. Obviously we've only had 5 races so far in the season, would you believe? And I think there's been at least one person retiring in each of the races so far. And I'm not quite sure why that is. I think, obviously Connor and Gaben, we've not seen them before. They're new to the season. Gaben obviously is from BBU, so we've got a bit more background on what he can be like. But certainly first impressions of them, they're both, I'd say, front of the field really in terms of pace alone. Obviously there's some racecraft issues, I guess, and maybe some sort of experience question marks, I guess, that have sort of shown themselves in the races so far. But I'm hopeful as the season goes on, we'll sort of iron out those kinks and we'll settle in to becoming, one of the top teams. And I think everyone in Project Ferrari, perhaps excluding myself, has the ability at least to be top 5. Obviously Hodge was P3 last season, and Gaben's won BBU multiple times now, so I'm really confident that we have what it sort of takes.
The Ferrari master plan is in place, as you say.
Indeed.
The biggest rivals that everyone else around the grid and the VL analyst team are pipping you for is the battle with Mercedes. Project Mercedes is a project, is probably 15 or so points ahead of you. The senior teams alone, Ferrari on 62, Mercedes on 55, taking up 3rd and 4th in the constructors at the minute. Any early, you're pulling in 4 drivers regularly. Mercedes struggling with only 3. you think that's going to be an important factor as the season continues, or is there something else in mind you've got as part of the Ferrari master plan to keep your closest rivals behind you?
I think overall we need to work on, as I said last time, consistency. Certainly between the two senior teams, I think it's going to be a really close battle. I think we're relatively closely matched. Obviously, you and I have had our rivalry since last season after a couple of bumps and bruises, shall we say? So that's it's always fun going to the race. Having it improved based on that experience, and sort of having folk to look out for on track. You brought up absences, and I think that's a fair comment. I'm maybe BMing here, but I actually don't know who is your other driver in Williams apart from it's Rock. Okay.
Now you see why there's only 3 of us.
I see. Well, certainly for the first 2 or 3 races, Gaben was absent. But I think I actually don't know where I was going with that. Wait, we can edit that bit out.
As much as I keep saying, oh no, you've got 4 regularly, and there's only 3 on Mercedes. Gaben's attendance is somewhat limited by real life factors, so that's sort of an equalizer in the playing field. But
yes, he was. His absence was sort of all over the place, as you said, because of real life. I think he's just moved apartments, so he should be here more consistently now. So hopefully we'll be able to claw back the advantage that you guys have had. But I really couldn't call it between Mercedes and Ferrari, the 2 senior teams. I think it's going to be really exciting to see how we sort of stack up with each other as the season goes on, and yeah, I'm looking forward to many fun battles.
Brilliant. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you for your time.
Hello, welcome back to the stream. We just had some interesting thoughts from Ferrari and trying to name Mercedes' second driver. I think that shows how relevant they are, but we've got to remain unbiased here, haven't we, Red Bull and McLaren guys?
Yeah, I've clearly not got my Red Bull cap on, not going to be representing the boys and wishing them all the best for the upcoming.
Yeah, I would talk about the real life Red Bull Mercedes rivalry, but I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who's yet to watch the race. And I'm going to stop talking about this right now, so let's go towards the intro video for the Zandvoort Grand Prix. We're going to be going there shortly. As before we do, we're just going to show you a nice bit of graphics that our production's put together. I'm going to dab at this point because naturally I can. And yeah, you can see Michael Massey just being really expressive and an overall good guy. I think you'll all agree. This is certainly unique. Pyro, how does it feel? Do you like the squats that are underneath you right now?
Yes, of course.
Excellent.
On our own sports, F1 sport, private F1.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, we wouldn't do anything without the VL. Okay, Charmander will probably do predictions a bit later. Is there anything you've got from... We watched a bit of practice together. Is there anything you've particularly observed there?
Yeah, I picked up that a lot of drivers do seem to be struggling with the track. Definitely a slippy one. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the race when tensions are obviously a lot higher, where a slip of the loud pedal can really just end your race. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, we should say at this point we don't really know the turn names because they're all long and Dutch, so we're just going to be describing them really badly, like the one before the DRS straight or the one before that long straight with the 2 twisty bits. But yeah, there's a lot of points where you can fall off. Pyro, we saw quite a few DNFs in that practice session.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who you think could cause an incident in the first bit of the race?
I know Carlos will be in somewhere fucking... I don't know where he's... I really hope can bring in some points. Or Brian. I actually don't know Brian that well. But yeah, I'm hoping, of course, McLaren team captain, that my McLaren boys are going to do something. But I also know how Carlos drives and what he did in practice already. So yeah, I feel he's going to be involved in some of this shit happen.
Safe to say Pyro's got full confidence in his team.
Yeah, completely.
Really representing. Yeah. We've obviously had a few spins. I think Crispy going, he's a fairly safe driver. Miffy retired his car with terminal damage. Carlos did himself in. Blaze, and I think Somtha went. He might have retired naturally, so Somtha, come sue us after the race if we've said you've retired and you haven't. The faraway winner of practice, Trav. So last season, the first time we ran Zandvoort, we saw times in the low 109. Trav was leading the way. Looks like he's doing that again. He broke the 110 barrier in practice. Just remains to be seen how high his Q3 performance can go. By the way, just behind the scenes, we're getting everyone into the lobby. We've got a couple of new faces this week. So those in BBU, is it Davy Boy? It's Icarus in this race. Do either of you know Davy Boy?
I do. I was with him in BBU when I was the reserve driver. I know he can be fast when he wants to, like midfield, but he's more the kind of guy that doesn't back out of a fight. So he either gets involved in a crash, crashes himself, but he's usually the nicer type of driver.
Okay, and that's something you like to see rather than, let's just say, a clip Charmander showed me earlier where he cut through the entire field in Suzuka. Everyone going left and right. Another one is Navor. So Dormin, shout out if you're watching. Dormin and Navor were a popular VL League of Legends bot lane duo. And I think they're related. I can't remember the connection at the moment, but they're at least good friends, maybe family in there as well. The standard mix. He's going to be racing for Williams, so he's the Project Mercedes fourth driver. Hopefully we could be seeing some nice racing from Navor. If he's as strong as he is in the support role, then the rest of the field have something to worry about. There was one other new driver. It was Prix or Obsidian. I don't think we've seen Prix at all. In fact, I think he just got the game in VL. Is he EU or is he a new driver completely?
I've seen the name around. My memory sort of takes the best of me, and I can't remember whether I've seen him around in BBU or whether it was him messaging in VL saying, "How do I join?"
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he's at, what pace level, and if he can really upset and take some points off some, maybe even for the big dogs.
Yeah, gotcha. And with so many new faces, we've talked a lot in previous races, not directly across a desk like this, but we've said how good the VL field is. People who were doing really well in season one, can sort of go to mid-table. People who were sort of mid-table in season one can sort of drop a bit down to the bottom of the table. That's just how stacked the league is. The beautiful thing of watching these new drivers like Icarus, Brian, and Navor is we just get to see where they stack up. As Travis says, it doesn't really matter where you finish. You have fun, and Cody's lets the game work during the hour you're in it, then that's all you can really hope for. Quick, we've got the championship standings. We can see them here. You had a look at them earlier in the pre-show. It's mainly Red Bull dominant with Sunny on a nice memeable 69 points in there. Are there any drivers, Pyro, you think that could do well in there, or maybe even not on that list that you think could do well?
Well, I haven't thought much about the top 10 rather than I wanted to talk about Franklin that he's back in the game because I know he was midfield driver, top 5 if I remember correct. I'm not sure about that one anymore, but I want to really see what he's capable of doing now with stacked, with stacked drivers we already have now, especially people coming from BBU, more and more people. I hope we got only the clean driver, but it will be interesting to see who will remain top 10, let's say, and fall out of it. Like for the likes of Flyer, that he's not here again. I hope he will soon drop out of top 10 so we can have some more competitive going on. But yeah, it will be interesting to see who it will be. I know that Hodgson is P11 just right behind Flyer, so I don't know if he'll DNF today and have a good setup. I don't.
Got ya. So many things we don't know. We'll find out on the track, and hopefully we should have a full grid. I think we've got 20 signed up to the roster lock, so it should be good to see if a full grid goes. If the gods of Codemasters shine down on us, give us a full grid in a race that actually works. Hashtag 4Francis. We're going to be able to get a really good show for you guys. Alex, I'll have to ask you about Red Bull, just like we did in the pre-show. Laws stayed in the junior project.
Yeah.
Nifty's moved up. Looks pretty fast in practice. How are you thinking Franklin will round the team out?
From what I remember, Franklin is a fairly pacey driver. He struggled a bit with consistency, keeping the car on track. However, if he stays out of trouble. Zandvoort's definitely a one where points can be picked up as drivers do struggle for traction on the track. So I'm really backing my boys in blue to do the best they can here and bring home as many points as realistically possible.
Yeah, and to be honest, you're dominating constructors already at either end, Red Bull and AlphaTauri, top and bottom. You love to see the sandwich. Yeah, so hopefully Red Bull can continue that streak, certainly from that perspective. We're bringing you in shortly, but a couple of things to point out. We've only run this race once before. In Season 4, we did Zandvoort in VL. It wasn't a track on the calendar during VL Seasons 1 through 3. Last time it ran, Trav got pole position and capped it off with a win. Alex on my right here, or on left, depending on the stream orientation, went from 6th on the grid up to 2nd place. Hodgson made it to the podium, and Sonny had a nice little strat where he brought out the intermediate tyres during a slicks race. So really a massive range of brain skills being used there, especially with drivers like Calm running out of fuel on the last corner. Hopefully, we will be going into the lobby soon. We've got all our drivers signed up. I think we're down 1, but we'll get closer to confirming the roster lock when we see what's happening in the first qualifier. If we have a quick check with our production, we will be checking to see if we're entering qualifying anytime soon. We've actually just got live info that Calm is the driver that's missing. So, yeah, what do you think about that, especially given his spins in Imola last week?
It's definitely a big shock. We sort of expected him to start making a bit of a comeback from Imola, but maybe he's not set his alarm again, or he's just not feeling Zandvoort, which, given the changes to the game, is fully understandable.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, Calm can have a bit of an interesting erratic form. Obviously, we've talked about his dominant status. He's the best driver in VL history in terms of wins, in terms of points, and in terms of just the pure aura of intimidation he has on the rest of the grid. We're obviously seeing a big contrast to that with a little spinala, or rather 5 spinalas in 2 laps over the course of Imola.
I'm actually not surprised that he did, because when you're calm and you know how fast you can be, and then you struggle with, like last week, you lose all the motivation to turn up for another. So I'm not surprised, because I can see where he that he wanted to try it out again last week, saw that he's not keeping up and just spinning and get frustrated, and then he's like, okay, never mind, then it's not that important. And if he wanted to do something else on a Sunday, then I think that he won't turn up for this race.
It's definitely understandable. At the end of the day, we all do this to enjoy it, and if you're not enjoying your Sundays and you're feeling like you're forced to do it, why push yourself?
Yeah, there's I can certainly see that when I started really pushing for getting good positions and putting time in and really enjoying taking down the assist in Season 3. I think once you lose that magic of, I'm really excited for this, I really want to race for positions, it then feels a bit like a thankless task. And at that point, you might as well take a break, look back at what you really joined the game and the league for, and just have a bit of banter in it. So yeah, we're apologies for the technical issues, guys. You should know that if you've got a history of Cody's with us. We had a couple of issues with the lobby. We're hoping we can get back into that shortly. Can confirm that we're going with 19 drivers. So Calm, the senior Haas driver, the only one out of the full roster of 20, which means that our rookie Icarus for the Haas team will be driving on his own. So hopefully Icarus, assuming it's a he, will have found a common lobby to get advice off. I like that when the McLaren guys join. I often find that you guys, Pyro, are in the general voice and ready to just give advice to everyone.
Yeah, we usually try to help each other out, even if we're battling on track. Sometimes when we're close to each other, we then tend to just do rival talk and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you." But at the end of the day, when it comes to strategy or something like that, we always try to help each other.
And that's the way to go. Now, I remember racing in the last time, and indeed the only time we've done Zandvoort in VL. The one I remember was we had a restart last time, and we had Brandon and Glenn coming together. Do you remember that one, Alex?
Yeah, I definitely remember that one. I remember what I remember, it was a bit of a rage quit and caused the entire lobby to explode. So.
Yeah, certainly reminiscent of what's happening now. Okay, so hopefully we can get you into the game and get you into our 3-session qualifying. We'll be looking at our current track, which is Circuit Zandvoort. Hopefully we can get that one. Over to you, the audience on stream. Okay, there we go. I always love that video, especially some of the doots that happen. Welcome to the Dutch Grand Prix. It is round 6 of Season 5 Championship here in VLF1. We're here in Circuit Zandvoort, which is in North Holland, Netherlands. Interesting fact, it's owned by Prince Bernhard of Orange-Nassau. I definitely knew that myself. It's got 36 laps in today's race. Here's a picture of the track right now. 4.2 kilometers, 2.6 miles distance. There are 14 turns, 2 DRS straights, and every opportunity for Hodgson to claim it as his win before the race. The likely stop strategy will be a single stop. It looks to be completely dry weather. We've had those indications. The Met Office boys and girls are signalling no chance of rain, so we're going to have a lot of clear slick running. The only time this has been raced before, as mentioned a couple minutes ago, we had Travis and Charmander taking the 1-2 for Red Bull. With them on top of constructors, we'll see if it can happen again. Alex, what are we seeing now?
The drivers are starting to come out on track. One will be coming out on the soft. You don't want to spoil your set of mediums if you're planning on doing that in Q2. Interesting, with 19 drivers on the track, the bottom 4 will be eliminated at the end of Q1. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be first out.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I was pointing out silently for production reasons the massive number of drivers that's on the grid. It's 19, as you just say. That actually means Q1 means something, and people will be driving in the first session. There's Monty. He was. I think he's just heard that drivers are going to be eliminated, and he's done it himself. Pyro, what do you think Monty will be feeling right now? Is he going to be completely tilted?
I mean, to be honest, that man I never hear on when we're in voice chat. He barely talks. I don't know what he thinks or what he's gonna say. But I don't know. I'm not surprised, to be honest. He can sometimes pull off and fall under the radar, but that he will DNF isn't really a shock at me. Sadly, it happened before he even completed a lap, which is unfortunate, but well, that's the track for you.
Yeah, it's chaotic here. Alex, looking at the field, obviously Monty's out, 3 more to go. Who do you think's a good candidate for getting knocked out in Q1?
Oh, that's a tough question, especially with a field that big. I would probably look at maybe some of the newer guys. We had information before that Nawar isn't maybe as confident as some of the other drivers coming into this. And maybe Icarus, we don't know how he performs in a VL lobby. So they are 2 I would look at. Interested to see where they do end up compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, well said. And it's always interesting to see rookies. You've got a huge variance. You only get a couple races before you can see sort of their true value. We're still seeing that with drivers like Ronaldinho, even though they've been here for 3 or 4 weekends. So first impressions on always everything. We're seeing a lot of the time just yellow flags on the track map, which shows just how dangerous this circuit is. You can spin off at so many of the corners. The hairpin about 3 turns in, halfway through Sector 1. The Master series of curves in Sector 2. We've then got, I think it's the Come Ho corner. I think that's the official name of the corner as we go into Sector 3.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And just the start of Sector 3.
So we definitely won't be calling that out very regularly. We do see on stream Sonny having a bit of an incident and going off track, but he's about the 6th driver to have done so. Our production's absolutely going on Class A narcotics to catch all of them as we see the times roll in. Pyro with 111s on the board. How much do you think we'll see drivers improve on that?
Well, in Q1, probably not that much. We will probably see drivers sort themselves out. Bottom half probably being in the 112. So I'd see that the ones being in the 111s are fairly safe. Like I can see the likes of Carlos around that, a 112, maybe even a lower 112, being the gatekeep to enter Q2.
Yeah, well said. Once you've got 15 drivers in that timeline, you can see where the time you have to beat is. You don't have to beat Travis to get into Q2. You just have to not be one of the slowest 4, or after Monty's retirement, the slowest 3 drivers. So the bar isn't that high. You don't have to absolutely take all the risks. But at the same time, you do have to get used to the circuit, sort of build up your speed. Are there any drivers you think could pull off a really fast lap in Q1? Is it just the usual candidates, sort of Travis, Sonny?
I think Travis, if he hooks one together in Q1, he can definitely get a fast lap, but he's not a driver to be pushing. Sonny, I've seen go for the sort of time trial laps in Q1 to really set down the marker, as well as Hodgson's been known to do that in the past, really just to see their names up there in Q1. But as you say, it's very like chasing a bear. You don't have to be quicker than the bear, you just need to be quicker than the slowest person.
Yeah, well said. And yeah, the bear in this case is the wall that you're going to crash into, rather than the 3 drivers who you have to beat the times of, because as we saw from practice, it's very, very easy to DNF, despite it being a circuit that's very open with a lot of tarmac. One thing we spotted as well is touching a curb is incredibly fatal. Pyro brought back Travis's rules from Season 1 Japan. Don't touch the curb. He said it well, it applied then, it applies now. We've got a few drivers who haven't set times yet, and then Blaze has set a time, but it's a very risky 1:16.2. They'll need to improve on. We're having a look at Crispy now on stream. If we can sort of look at his next lap, Pyro, do you want to talk us through what's happening?
Real quick, we can only see Nevo going backwards, and he's doing it. Yeah, but we see now Crispy starting his fast lap, or slowing down.
Yeah,
he's on a cooldown, so
he's taking a bit of a chill pill. Let's see if we can find the Merc that's going for the fast lap. We can't because they're all going in the box. They're loving it right now.
I mean, to be fair, most of the people set a time and then they're gonna go into the pits, refuel, and then maybe.
Well said. So Shadow Hopper coming up. Yeah, just talk us through what's happening with this lap if we can, Pyro.
Yeah, so the first corner here, you really have to be careful because this is an easy one to spin on, especially if you touch the curb. Going into the next corners as well. This corner is also very special that people crash out on, but Shadow Hopper is doing a really, really good job right now. These are technically corners, but you do them flat out. With the next one, we see Shadow Hopper doing it 7th gear. I like to go with 6th. Now approaching end of Sector 2 soon. The DRS straight coming up, keeping it high there. That's exit. While I see at the bottom Shadow Hopper has joined. Not sure if it's him driving at this point. Might be the bot, but okay. We will see what time he or the bot will set up. Now last sector also very dangerous on the curbs. You can take the outside curb, not the inside, else will in the wall. And we will see shortly time he will put in. So 1:12.6, not top 10, but out of the top.
Yeah, it'll get him a time on the board, and yeah, well said. One of the sense that you can get from Pyro talking us through that lap is there's a lot of special corners that you have to make sure that you get the traction on, approach them very specifically, avoid the curbs, as we said, in order to get something stable. We also saw Icarus set a lap. He was slightly faster than Shadowhopper with a 1:12.5. Alex, you've just spotted something.
Yeah, we've seen Brandon spinning on what looks like his hot lap. And he's just spun again and lost his front wing. He's gonna have to come in with the yellow flags. Can't see how much time's left on the session at the moment. He's definitely got enough time to come back in, replace his wing and new set of tyres. But as I say that, we've got another person going off track. And there's Alpha Tauri, I think, on the... Oh, he's going for a bit of a mountain climb. It's definitely a very slippy track, and we're seeing this already in Q1. So it's going to be a bit hectic when we're in the race and there's 19 drivers all going next to each other, whether they can keep it on the track and not take anyone else out.
Yeah, it's going to be so difficult. Already we've seen Icarus, Blaze, Law, good drivers in Blaze and Law. We don't know Icarus too well, but the track is fooling everyone. We're seeing yellow flags, spins, bits of wing damage, indeed 4, maybe even 5 DNFs in the practice session. So it just goes to show how dangerous it is. To quote Alex just now, we'll see how dangerous that makes things for the race. I don't remember the track being that treacherous in Season 4, so maybe Zandvoort, which is already a fairly slidey track, has combined with the new handling model of 2021 for Cody's to make an absolute cocktail of chaos. We've got a couple of yellow flags on the track at the moment, but it looks to be proceeding okay at the moment, people just branching out. We've seen Franklin at the moment go towards the right-left dogleg. You've got to increase your speed slowly as you come out of there, but then in your traction. Quick heads up on the overall flow of the session. 7 minutes remaining. Monty's already gone. Law and our previous race winner Travesty, whether you look at previous race or previous season, not setting a time yet. He's in the pits. Alex, do you think this is a psych moment? Is this mind games?
Yeah, Travis has a habit of doing this. Is he'll usually finish off his curry before getting into the car 5 minutes before the end of the session, come in, bosh, 1 lap done, out through to Q2. So he has a habit of doing this. We saw Law spinning and going up the mountain just before, so he needed to come in, put on a fresh set of boots. We've just had a retirement from Brian, and that is very dangerous on the racing line.
Yeah.
Franklin's had to abandon his lap. Fortunately, Law was on an out lap. Let's hope that gets cleared up before any other cars come by. And no! Oh, Sonny just misses that car. That really needs to be removed quite quickly. That's directly on the racing line, and it's such a fast corner. You really don't want to have to be adjusting your car going into that corner. And as we say that, Brandon has spun again.
Yeah, we might be seeing Brandon actually put a lap together at some point, but don't count on it soon. He did have a 1:16.2. He's had a few really unfortunate spins. Had a few in practice as well, so it seems like it's a systematic thing. He's either got his setup a bit wrong, or he's just not underestimating the lateral forces that are approaching the car towards the exits of these corners. As you said, Charmander Law, who hasn't set a lap yet, was on his out lap to avoid that car across the track by Brian. So he's going to be on his hot lap now.
He's already know.
And yeah, we didn't quite catch it, but Law has spun. He's not retired his car yet, but he's going to be fairly hard pressed to get back in and then set any sort of competitive time. He does need to beat Brandon's time of 1:16.2 and also Brian's time of 1:14.0 to break that top 15.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard pace to do that, especially with the time left in the session. 4 minutes 40, it's doable, but it depends how many tyres has he gone through already, because he's spun a couple of times. And then same goes for Brandon. You know, normally you do donuts after you've won the race, not before you've even got out of Q1.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's Brandon really making some revolutionary statements here. He's all over the place, but let's see if he can come back. We're throwing shade right now, but we could be seeing some Brandon redemption. He does kind of need to go quickly, though. We've got
Crispy retired.
How's the
Is it on track or is it? Okay, no. Like,
yeah. I always have a bit.
Brennan again on mission clearing the I don't know where he wants to go, but that's not the Brendan.
Yeah, he's building a sandcastle right now.
Yeah.
We've got Law and Travis, who are the last two drivers to have set times that are still in the session. Law goes into the pits, so that leaves Travis a bit of time to have a go at a lap record right now. The best time at the moment is 1:10.6. I interrupted myself halfway through the sentence because Trav has just cleaned everything out. 111s all across the board. The top 10 drivers that aren't Trav have 111s, and that isn't even fast by Trav standards. He broke 110 in practice. He did it in all 3 qualifying sessions in Season 4. He's just set up to do really well. Pyro, what do you think Law's going through his head right now? Is he going to go for the one lap? Does he have to make changes to his setup?
I mean, he can't really change the setup anymore, apart from new rules, I think. But yeah, he might be frustrated at the point a little bit, and just needs to get a calm lap in, and then I think it will be Brennan's time, because I think Brennan's time is even with a spin. So he just has to keep his head down and complete out the whole lap, and he will easily beat, I'd say, even neighbors. What I wanted to ask as well, actually, is we've seen Sunny's time of 1:11.1. How close is this to his actual passing? What do you guys think?
That's a great question, and I'd love to have the time trial stats with me right now. I haven't been sent a DM about how fast he is in time trial, so I assume he hasn't very hard at it, or he's not too proud of what it is at the moment. Sunny's normally like Trav Light. He's fast, he's consistent, but not quite Travis. So I think if Trav can break 110 and go high 109s, Sunny can go low 110s. So he's got more in him. He's done 3 timed laps so far, so I think he's still spinning up. Pun not intended. I think he could still get a lot of improvement in there. So 1:11.1 is good. It's safe for Q1. There's more to come. Law is on his outlap at the moment. Blaze is on an outlap as well, because that time really needs to improve if he's going to be getting into Q2. The gatekeeper is currently Brian, whose car is retired with a 1:14.0. So that is the benchmark to beat the DNF car. However, to get into Q2, you need to beat Naval's 1:13.3. So real task on our hands for the 2 at the bottom.
Definitely. Going back to what you were saying about Sunny's pace, he's definitely got a lot more in the tank. He did that on 3 lap old softs. Just as we're looking, Law's starting his hot lap now. He's coming up to the first bank corner. He's got to make sure he doesn't get on the power too early. It needs to be a calm lap, bit of a wobble on the exit, but nothing too bad. All he needs to do is keep the car on the track, and he'll start beating these times. But as we've seen from quite a few drivers this track, keeping your car going in a straight line, not the easiest job. He's coming through sector 2 now, coming up to the second DRS straight. He's only got one of the major low traction zones left, so he's looking in a good position to set a decent time here. He's coming on the slowest part of the track, down past the chicane into the hairpin, coming up to the kumquat corner or whatever it's called, and he touched the corner and span it.
Could not handle the kumquats, I'm afraid. Yeah, Law's going to get back on track. There's only minimal time now to finish the session. Blaze is on a valid lap. He's doing fairly alright. I don't know if it's good enough, but he hasn't spun and he's kept it pretty well paced. He needs to get this final banked corner down though and avoid the, I think, Alpha Tauri that's in the middle of the track. And that is Law that Charmand has just been talking about. Blaze goes through and he's in 15th position. 1:12.5 is massive. Law retired his car in that incident, so that is gonna put Brandon through at the moment. Navor is down. He's half a second slower, so I think we can count him out of Q1. He's just not gonna make it.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Low mid 112 is probably gonna be the benchmark. Well, I didn't expect 3 DNS in Q1 already, but like you guys already said, it's gonna be hard to keep it out of the wall. But yeah, it's interesting to see. Unlucky for Law, but the rule is the rule. Don't touch the curb, and you should be fine. Touch the curb, you're dead.
Yeah, he's totally nosed that one up, as is always the case. Even if you don't do too well in quali, you've got the race to go for. It's going to be a fairly challenging race. Obviously, we've seen the DNF potential, so if you can get through the early part of the race unscathed, you can do well, Alex.
Definitely. He's got the important thing to note, any drivers that do go out in Q1 and Q2 do get a free choice of tyre coming into the start of the race. So it's going to be interesting to see what he chooses as the final drivers come into the pits. It looks like no one else is on a hot lap. Everyone else just waiting for quali one to finish, and the 4 drivers that are going out are Law, Monty, Brian, and Nawal.
Yeah, that's going to be unfortunate for them. Novel and Brian, we haven't seen them before. We can't take too much from that performance. Looks like they're still getting used to the track, and I'm not sure how much practice they've had, so it wouldn't be fair to judge them. Law must just have had a bad time, to be honest. I've seen him do pretty all right on this track. The credit to Law I can give is he's normally really composed in races. He gets back into point-scoring positions really well. Normally he gets through the race okay. Monty, I think he spun before we could even call anything about him. So he'll be going into Q4, which I think is practicing on his own time until the race starts. I don't know if that's even possible with the lobby system we've got going, but yeah, it's at worst they'll just have to sulk until the start. Pyro, any surprises there? Anyone who you think should have stayed in?
Not really. I mean, Law was a little expected to maybe be in top 6, top 15 ahead of Brennan, I'd say, or Icarus. But besides that, like I said, Brian, we only seen one lap at least, so 1:14. In general, I don't know how much quicker he can be or what kind of driver he is. But yeah, Monty really unfortunate. But besides that, not really any surprises. I'm curious to see what happened in Q2, especially now that the tire choice is important if you want to start a medium or in soft. I'm very interested in seeing what the drivers will do.
Yeah, well said. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think you get 5 sets of tyres at the start of qualifying. So 4 sets of softs and 1 set of mediums. So I think the best way to approach things, especially with a short like Zandvoort, is to use 1 set of softs for Q1, the set of mediums for Q2, and the remaining 3 sets of softs for Q3. Hello, by the way, guys. If you mess that up and you have to use multiple sets of softs for Q1, that means that you either only use 2 sets of tyres for Q3 or use a 1 set for Q3. Either way, if you make a mistake in Q1 and you have to use more sets of tyres, it puts you at a bit of a disadvantage for the rest of qualifying. So yeah, there's a lot to consider. The tyre strategy battle, as Pyro said, comes into play, and hopefully we'll be bringing you the 15-minute second session, Q2. Alex, the top 10 go through now, so it's a bit more serious, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. This is where we really see the pace of the drivers. This is, where we're really separating the drivers that are contending for the points in the race, as opposed to the ones who might look to just capitalize on mistakes rather than take the points through pure pace.
Yeah, and I think we see the Saturday drivers versus the Sunday drivers as well. So going from that list, I'd call Hodgson Sunday. He's more consistent in the race than at getting the one-shot qualifying time. I'd call Sunny Saturday, so I think he can often nose up his strategy in the race, but I think he gets a really disproportionately good qualifying time, maybe even a good chance at pole. Then you've got people like Travis, who just smurfs everything because he's in blue. So a lot of different things to consider. We do see the slowest 5 go out. As Pyro said, the tyre strategy battle is there, so if you can get into the top 10 on mediums, it's worth doing, but if you need to use the softs, it's still worth getting into that top 10 on the softs, rather than sitting out in the second half of the grid. Pyro, we're looking towards the middle and maybe the top side now. What sort of time do you think we're looking at? Are there any sort of drivers you've got your eye on?
Well, in terms of times, I see a high 1:11 now, probably. Well, depending, the soft drivers at least should aim for that, because the medium time will probably be a 1:12 I'd say. So I'm very interested. I'm more interested in the likes of what Franklin, like what to bleed, Icarus, Maka, what they're all doing, because I feel like they have the pace, but I don't know if they have the pace on the mediums to do so.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. We quite often see a lot of what I would call slower drivers attempt to get through on the mediums and fall short by even 5/10. However, if you're one of the slower drivers who's going to struggle, especially at a track like Zandvoort where the softs aren't a bad tyre to start on, it's often worth just putting on a set of softs, and then you can unsettle some of the faster drivers. And if you're taking their spaces and making them start on the softs, it really plays into your hands, because it was your plan to start on the softs anyway. If they're not planned to start on the softs, then it can really mess up your mindset going into the race.
Yeah, well said, Alex. Yeah, soft can be a bad strategy in some cases because you might need to use a 2-stop. In this case, you don't have to. You can use the soft hard 1-stop, get all the way through it. We're just getting some interesting news from the Met Office. We've got a 40% chance. I don't know where this number comes from, but it's been handed down from the skies. There is a 40% chance of a wet Q3. So the absolute showdown, where all the drivers try and put their best times on the board. We've got a nearly half chance that we get some light rain coming into it, which could freeze the session off early. It could mean that only the first few minutes count, so the first banker lap is important. As we see a really big spin by Blaze, he's lost all of his wing, but miraculously, he survives. He's gonna keep spinning on into the rest of the session, I'm sure. He's not really had a great crack at the weekend so far, but he's still got time, even if his front wing hasn't. We've got Somther heading up the board at the moment at 1:11.4. And we've got a really slow car in Sector 2. They may even have spun around. Yep, it's Franklin, who's just going to go off the road for a bit and let some of the other drivers by for reasserting his position. And a McLaren is just going past. That could have been fun if the two had collided. I think he reached his car, and that means he can't get his car off his current position. This could be dangerous because there's no safety car. He's still in the game. He hasn't been disqualified. And now here it comes. The FIA have reached down with the long arm of the decision-making skills, and unless it dukes this Ferrari out the way, he's been DQ'd.
They are able to even get out. I don't think they are even able to get the car out of that position, which is quite interesting. Yeah, sadly we can't look into that more, but yeah, really, really unfortunate for Franklin now, because shit game and unluck that he got beached there. Yeah.
Yeah, until the car disappeared, like it was in the way of the racing line. Alex, you've raced loads of times like this. Does it tend to really unsettle you when you're thinking of the lap when you see something like that?
Yeah, definitely. Even if they are off the racing line, having an incident ahead of you, if you've got wave yellows going on, you are supposed to lift, you are supposed to abandon the lap. Because if you cause an incident under yellow flags, the penalty is a lot harsher.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
The idea of yellow flags is caution, slow down, there is an incident on track.
Yeah,
so even being around an incident, if you're doing a hot lap, really, really can unsettle you.
Yeah, and it really takes everything out of your mental at the exact point where you don't want that to happen. Yeah, a couple of shouts. One is great shout Couchy in Twitch chat. We've got our production to show the tyres on screen. Everyone mediums at this point before the tyre strategy battle comes into play. And yeah, we also got some news from Franklin popping up. The debris from Blaze's spin where he lost his wing, according to Franklin, that contributed to his spin and his DNF. So we'll be seeing some fun words in VL Discord after the race, or even during if we've got some hopping going on. Okay, Carlos is currently in P10 and he's doing a hot lap at the moment. Do you think there's any particular strategy Carlos has done for this one, Pyro, your teammates?
Well, I know Carlos doesn't do strategy. He just does whatever I tell him to do, or whatever gives the best trade. So probably now people in or call with him, we're gonna tell him what he's gonna do or whatever he feels best. And I think he will give it a try on mediums unless he feels like he can't beat the time and make it into Q3. Then I feel like he's gonna go into soft.
Yeah, it makes sense. And normally about 3 or 4 minutes from the end of the session is where you see drivers just sort of be okay with their time on mediums or go, right, I need the soft time, let's go. The gap between medium and soft times is about a second, maybe a second and a half. fairly big on this circuit, which means that at the moment we've got a 0.8 between P1 and sort of P7. That could be really decisive if drivers want to switch tyres and switch up the standings a bit towards the end of the session.
Yeah, this is where I'd want to see drivers, even from maybe P4, P5 downwards, actually put on a set of softs. As we've talked about, starting softs here, by no means the worst thing. And if you're starting to push the drivers like Gaben down into those danger zones, when you're the driver at risk, that plays an effect on your mental. Just as we see Travis do a 1:11.1, which is quicker than a lot of people have done soft.
Yeah, you love to see it.
He's really putting in the benchmark right now.
Yeah, I thought 1:11.1. That's horrible. That's not a Travis time. And then I realised late that it's the yellow compound. It's the mediums. So yeah, it really shows that regardless of what tyre compound he's on, Trav is the top of the pack. He's the guy to beat. Sonny's close. Shadow Hopper's close on. I think it was the medium he set his lap on. But yeah, Travis still finds a way to edge his nose out in front. So yeah, props to him. The reason I was slowing down with the tyre call is that Shadow Hopper switched from his best lap mediums, 1:11.3. He's got the softs on in the pits. And as we get towards the second half of the session with 6 minutes to go, we are going to see these drivers go from mediums onto softs in an attempt to secure their position at the top. Now, at the moment, Pyro, where do you think the line is? Which drivers do you think could go onto the soft?
Well, it's hard to say because even a 1:11.5 can be beaten with soft, but I feel like that's the line that people on further down are gonna have to beat. Maybe not. Maybe 1:11 is also safe, depending. Because of what I've seen is even on soft, some people struggle to get into the 1:11, like mid 1:11. But yeah, I feel like everyone below Dini right now has to put on the softs and see what the bottom drivers are doing right now that are outside of the top 10, and maybe you're going on softs like Carlos going out on softs right now.
We had a really solid performance in Q3 last season. 9 of 10 drivers were able to break into the 1:09 times on the softs. So it goes to show that the later into the qualifying session you get, the more we get those early spins on the way, the more we find the best 10 drivers towards the end. We can actually have a clustering situation where drivers get close. Yeah, we've seen a little spinala from Carlos there. He's going to recover. He's still got most of his wing. We've just got a disappointed McLaren commentator on the desk.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. With Carlos, I know he's a little too aggressive sometimes, and on a track like Zandvoort, that's not gonna happen.
Not at all. We've got Somfort and Crispy setting laps at the moment, still on the mediums. Maka setting a lap still on the mediums. We haven't mentioned them all much this cast, but Project Ferrari still have 4 drivers. They still have 4 skins in the game. So we've got both teams, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, coming in. Hopefully they can still hold their position on the medium tyres. But because they're in the bottom half, they may need to switch to the softs. Travis has just been usurped at the top by Somfort. Great 1:11 performance from him. It's only 0.02 better than the senior Red Bull driver's time.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing the amount of drivers choosing to stay on the mediums over the softs. I think when it comes to whether they start on the mediums or the softs, a bit of arrogance can come in, thinking I'm a quicker driver than this, I can get through on the mediums, and then suddenly, oh, I'm 12 and I'm out.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do have to swallow your pride a bit, put on the softs, and put the cat amongst the pigeons. So it's going to be interesting to see who's willing to come out the softs, put their pride behind, just say, look, I'd rather have track position than some boasting that I managed to get through on medium.
Yeah, definitely. And plus, as you said earlier, Alex, the tyre strategy isn't that bad if you come out on soft. You can really shake up the pack. You can make it a one-stop still. Soft hards can get you through 36 laps of Zandvoort. It's a very, very easy track to get through with that tyre strategy. So yeah, there's a lot to play for even if you have to use the softs. Carlos is now on a hot lap. He's going to hopefully be the first guy that we get to see setting a valid time on the soft tyres. But we're now seeing a good 5-6 drivers, especially those towards the bottom of the field, put on that red compound for the fast full speed. Yeah, we've got a couple close ones with 3 minutes to go. Pyro, who are you thinking will make it? Who are you thinking will get dropped out?
Well, even though I want Carlos to do well, I feel like he's not gonna make it. Icarus probably as well. Brandon, if he doesn't spin, maybe, but I feel like he's also in the bottom. While Carlos spins and invalidates. Great job there, Carlos.
Hint of sarcasm. Oh, Ferrari coming up to the track. Oh, that was really close.
God fucking damn it, I can't watch this.
It's difficult enough watching. It's difficult enough watching with someone who you know well racing for you, and then throw onto that the fact that you're in a team with them, and then having to commentate live. Pyro's got quite a cocktail on him. Although we did see the two Ferraris go past close together. Alex, is this a toe track?
Definitely not. The straight isn't long enough for you to get any meaningful advantage from the toe. If anything, it's just going to mess up the car behind, following in the dirty air through the low traction zones. If you're trying to pull off the toe at this track, you sort of don't understand what the toe does and the advantages and disadvantages of it. So yeah, I really hope that isn't a toe and they just happen to leave the garage at the same time.
Yeah, let's hope it's just a Ferrari synchronicity rather than going for the big boy strategies. As it stands with 1 minute 30 to go, the best times have all been set on mediums, but when you look at what shoes the drivers have on their feet, it's mostly soft tyres, especially towards the bottom end of the field. Glenn, with 1 minute 20 to go, is sticking with the mediums, so he's absolutely going in Billy Big Boy, and he wants to get himself a place in that top 10. To do that, he might have to improve by up to half a second. The drivers below him can certainly improve. Hodge can knock him out, his own teammate. Crispy has retired from the session inside the pit. We're obviously on a hair trigger for any sort of notification of a yellow flag or a retirement, because it could mean a fatality. We have a nice little spin from Icarus. He's had a few bad incidents, but that means he probably won't be able to submit a time in the rest of the session. We're gonna have a look now at Glenn, 111.86. Do you think he can improve, Pyro?
I can see him improve, but I don't think he can improve by much, because even if he improves, the ones on soft are gonna overtake. Well, to be fair, I can't see Icarus and Brandon improving that much. They're ahead of Glenn, but I feel like Glenn is dropping out because, yeah, mediums are the slower tire, and I can't see Glenn putting in another half a second. I feel like, how much does he have to improve?
Yeah,
But,
at the moment, at least a couple tenths.
Oh, no, I'm Brandon overtaking Glenn. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've got Brandon locked in. He's in P11, so he's going to be out. Glenn's trying his damnedest. It doesn't look like a particularly fast lap, but let's see if he can do anything. Hodge is going 4 tenths quicker. He will need to find another one as Glenn resigns himself to a very slow pace. With Icarus in the pits, Hodge may be all that is standing between the current top 10 and their places in Q3. He's 4 tenths faster as he comes towards the final straight. 112.2 on the board. He comes towards the line and gets himself into P5. 111.3. Great move. That puts his own project teammate Maka in the firing line. He's got Ronaldinho as his target in P10. He's doing 0.4 better. This should be a formality for Maka. This should move Ronaldinho into the drop zone. At this point, Glenn, who is way slower than his previous best, will join Ronaldinho, Blaze, Icarus, and Blood to Bleed in the drop zone. So
it's worth noting the tyres that the drivers set their fastest lap will carry their wear through to the start of the race. So the drivers like Sonther and Gaben, who have got 3 laps on their mediums, will be a slight disadvantage to the drivers like Travesty and Sonny, who are starting on the mediums with 2 laps less wear. It's interesting that the 2 drivers, or the 3 drivers in the top 10 starting on softs, had to have more than 1 go, so they've got 2 and 3 laps on their soft tyres respectively, and they will start with that wear.
Yeah, well said, and it sort of matches up with the slower drivers who needed to use softs to make sure they got into the top 10 are also the more inconsistent drivers who needed more than 1 lap to get into that top 10, so nice little correlation there. Pyro, how does that sort of shape up? Did the drivers that you expect get in there?
Yes, I'm only surprised about Glenn dropping out. I saw Carlos dropping out, not Glenn, but I take it. Carlos, get up there. Let's go. He spawned 1 too many times for my liking, but yeah, let's go. But yeah, very, very unfortunate for Glenn. Like I said, he still trying on the mediums. he is a good driver, but it was risky. So yeah, unlucky for him starting P13, but he has free tire choice, so might be good for strategy depending on what he wants to do. Because I know Hodgson always says he likes to rather start on 11th and have free tire choice than P10 with soft. So who knows? Maybe Glenn thought the same.
Yeah, who knows with the strategy of going into the pits on lap 2 of the safety car, maybe not Hodgson. But we'll look at that in the next. We'll look at that as the race develops, see if he breaks away from those stereotypes. Blaze and Joyce, you're having a little bit to do in Twitch chat, just seeing what the weather will be. It's looking dry. I assume Blaze is saying that with the benefit of having seen the skies of Q3 before we get into there in our spectator mode. We do get to see that showdown. So the top drivers we saw, Travis and Sonny, we can expect them to be up there. We've also got Gabe and Somfer, Shadowhopper, those drivers who are sort of fighting in there. Not quite at the top yet, but you can always say that they've got a good chance to get pole. Even drivers on the outside like Hodge, Crispy, Miffy, Maka, can't really write them off either. It says a lot that all 10 drivers were within 0.4 seconds of each other. If you take the tyre diff, the medium versus soft out of the way, it still shows how consistent the top 10 is. So I think we're dead set for a really encouraging Q3. Hopefully things are close, and I want to see if any of the drivers pull off that strat where they can go out with 3 different sets of fresh tyres.
Yeah, it's been great to see over the years we've been running BL how close the field is getting. I remember in sort of season 2 where some of the drivers in the top 10 were 2.5 seconds off the top, and back when you were able to choose hards in qualifying, some people would just go through Q2 on the hard tires just because they could. So
Yeah.
it's really nice to see the tightness of the field and the fact that maybe you're not safe starting on the mediums. You do have to put the softs, which is really spicing up some of the strategy.
Yeah, well said. Tracy said, why can't you choose hards anymore? As Alex says, it's not an option in the current model. It used to be the case in custom games. It's not in leagues. It's not in unranked lobbies, which we're not going to talk about today with Cody's. But yeah, it was a change between, I think, season 3 and 4. I really liked it. It was the big risk strategy. In real life, I'm sure you can pick any set of tyre compounds. You could pick intermediates in slick conditions. Again, I'll not talk about IRL F1 for spoiler-related reasons. Joyce also says, who's the saucy Italian in the middle? So
I already waved him. I did a peace sign.
There we go. We'll do a lot more as the sessions continue. Drivers are sort of forming before we get to the first real fast run. We're on board at the moment with... I think we're looking at one of the blue cars. Yeah, it's Trav. He's in the dark blue right now. We're going to see him go up the long straight with a couple of interludes. Gets purple sector, but with no time set, that's not a big marvel. Going to send it fairly smoothly through this section. I want to see him really improve on his best time, which is the 1:6 of Q1. He's got the power to break 1:10. We saw it earlier today. We saw it in Season 4. Best time to beat in Season 4 was 1:09.1, so he's got his work cut out. He's going to overtake Crispy, who's just in front of him, had a bit of a slow time. Cut it through this chain here, right into left, extended exit, and get it out into third. Take no risks with the traction. This is the banker lap after all, and he's going to send it around that final banked corner, keep the traction while getting his car as close to the apex as possible, activate DRS, use everything in the tank, and get himself a 1:10.4. Impressive time, but I've seen much better from Trav. That's low by Trav's standard.
Definitely. I think, as you said yourself, it's a banker lap. It's before you go all out guns blazing, you make sure you've got a time there that it'll beat most people, but not everyone. And that's Trav's answer to what he thinks most people can't beat. And then he later on in the session, he'll really start to risk it, get closer and closer to the curbs, and risk a spin, going for that ultimate time, what we're expecting to be sub 1.
Yeah, well said. Pyro, as you get towards the end of a qualifying session, what do you do to sort of take more risks? Is it something to do with the fuel? Do you go onto the fresher tyres? Do you just sort of get yourself in the mindset where you're really close to the edge.
Well, yeah, towards the end of Q3, you have nothing to lose, so you always take more risk and try to go more aggressive, because even if you've been in a wall, sure, it's frustrating, especially when you're down on your time, but at least you tried everything. It was more frustrating if you do it at the start of Q3, because then you might have not have a time or not a competitive time up there. So towards the end, you just put in the lowest amount of fuel possible and just push everything you can. Don't even care if the car crashes or not, because starting you can still start the race, and Q3 is the last qualifying you have to.
Yeah, if your car's totaled, it doesn't matter. It's the showdown. Leave your best track there. If you've got a banker lap to go beforehand, even better. I think beforehand, probably one of my worst qualifyings. It was a Monaco attempt. I had a fairly alright banker lap, put me in P6 or 7, but then in order to get enough time for the final lap, I sort of cut a few corners. One steward's decision later, my final lap didn't count, but I still had that banker lap to go for. So yeah, that's what we've got here. Miffy under the radar, getting a Red Bull 1-2, provisionally speaking, with a 1:10.7. So he's flown out of nowhere, or nowhere if you haven't seen practice, with a really nice soft tyres laps. He's done really well here. I want to see if the other drivers can get closer to it. At the moment, Carlos is sitting pretty at the back. He's about a 10th up, but that's not going to count for much when he's already 3/10 back at the back of the...
I really am surprised about Sunny. Look at his time. I don't know how competitive his time is and how much he can improve, but his first lap being only P9 is surprising. 1 second down on Travis's time. Like you guys said earlier, Sunny is usually the one that can push Travis, and especially can show that he is up there. But now being P9, I don't know if he made a mistake or how much he can improve, like I said, and how many fresh tires he still has. But it's yeah, unusual now to see him down there.
Yeah, he's going to be going balls to the wall. And Alex, we saw a chain of 2 earlier. Let's take a look at the end of Sector 1. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3 Project Ferrari drivers going together, putting that excellent toe, which you recommended earlier, to good use.
They barely need to start spreading out. If the driver in front of you makes a small mistake or anything, it really puts you off the lap on the track. They're going to need to start slowing down, and the fact that they're following each other so closely, even overtaking each other going into Sector 3, a bit of a worrying sign. And Carlos, see it spinning again coming into Sector 2. He is on quite old softs. He really needs to come in, slap on a new set of boots,
And yeah, just give it a went. One of Hodge's 2 escort ships has fallen behind a bit. He's it's a yellow flag, and that looks like Maka. He's just going for a really slow approach, either that or the slowest approach to the pit since Hodgson every Q1. We've got Gaben and Hodge following up and starting their hot laps, so trying to improve on their best times. I always like looking at where Trav is. He's almost a 10th up on his best time, going into Sector 3. Couple corners to go, so I want to see him take a bit more of a risk on this bank sector. Really nice entry, and that was so close to crashing, but that's kind of where you want to be in Q3. He comes into the pits, so yeah, not going to record that one.
Yeah, he will have lost time there, perhaps even invalidated, but once you lose time, you have to do it.
Sorry to interrupt, I see droplets. That could be a decider now, because the track is cooling down and the soft might actually not improve anymore.
I wonder, yeah, we are seeing little stripes. It's almost like a graphical bug where we don't see the spots on the screen, but we are seeing little lines appearing on the framework of the car. So as we go to different drivers, we might be seeing the start of rain, but we'll keep you updated as the sky is starting to look kind of cloudy.
Yeah, this would be huge for drivers like Sonny. As I say, that jumps up to P3. Fortunately, he set that time when he did, because if he sat around sort of where Hodgson is and the rain started to come down, that there are going to be no times improving, even if the rain were to stop. As Pyro pointed out, the track's gone a lot colder, and that was definitely a splash of rain on the screen there. So it looks like we might not have any improvement times, but I've been proven wrong before, so we'll have to see if that's the case again.
Yeah, this is sort of the moment you can expect the sort of last few improvements in times, or as we're seeing now with Shadowhopper, people crashing as they try and get the last few 10th improvements out of an increasingly rainy track surface. Yeah, the traction really isn't there. As my guys on the desk have said, it's cold. You don't really get that improvement in times, but it's Q3. You also want to throw everything at it because there's nothing to lose if you've already got a time on the board. You DNF your car and you're still going to get there on the grid. So I think even if we don't get much improvement in times, we're going to be seeing a lot of spins and crashes in the next 3 minutes. So yeah, perfectly positioned here. As it stands, Trav leads the field. He leads by 3/10. Miffy and Sunny separated by only 3 thousandths as the rain is starting to fall with greater intensity. We've got a nice cluster around the high 110s to low 111s between P4 and P9. And yeah, I'm not sure Carlos is going to be breaking his current P10, but he's going to be giving it a go with the droplets falling more and more.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I think that's how the leaderboard is gonna stay, because now even the little droplets, they don't do that much, but it still changes the track, and I feel like that's the timings, and everyone's they gonna try, and like you said already, they're either spinning or just setting slower times. I can't see anyone improving, but like Chamanda said, also they can prove me wrong, especially Carlos. If you want to get P1, happy to fine with me. I can't see it happen, but you can go for it.
Yeah, Carlos, this is your cue. You're doing really well at the moment. You're getting around a couple of the curves as Gabe retires in the pits. We've got him moving a bit around the right-hand Masters section, and Carlos is going to go as well. We've just got a few retirements from the session at the moment, as it starts to look like times are being frozen more and more. Everyone's seeing the rain, really accepting the inevitable. So we'll see what's in the minds of people. Do they absolutely abandon what they're doing? Do they not want to risk the DNFs, or are they going to go one last time, balls to the wall?
It's worth noting that even though there is rain, the tyre lock is still in play. If this rain had happened in Q2, then tyre lock is removed. But once they've set the fastest fastest times on those tyres, they are locked in. So even though there is rain in Q3, they will have to start on the tyres that they did in
Yeah, so the drivers that started on the soft tyres in Q2, so that'll be Maka, Hodgson, and Carlos in that top 10. They will be starting on the softs by the time we get around the race. So yeah, strategy still playing its part. We've got 1 minute left in Q3. As we've said a few times with the rain, we aren't expecting to see any further improvements in time set. Obviously, rain on the track doesn't make it too fast, reduces your traction somewhat. So yeah, drivers are just going to be bing chilling, as some people would say. Carlos coming round into the master section. He's done a spinola, and there goes his wheel. Accepting the inevitable one way or another, he's just going to make himself another bit of orange scenery in Zandvoort, as if they needed enough with the Supermax stands.
Yeah, that's true. No, I really hope he gets all the spins out now, so in the race it doesn't. But I don't feel it's gonna be this way.
There we go. So we got the times. Everyone set on softs. We just waiting slightly for the confirmation. And there we go. So Trav will be starting on pole in the Dutch Grand Prix. Round 6, 110.4. So not a patch on last year, but you've got to start suspecting that's a handling model mixed with the rain combined in the last section of. So yeah, it's really made all our drivers a bit slower. But it doesn't matter, as the bear analogy proved earlier.
Yeah.
You don't need to beat season 4 drivers. You just need to beat the drivers that are around you at the time. Red Bull 1-2. Alex, that's going to be great for you.
Oh, definitely. He's obviously taken up my seat and really doing me proud. It's quite a close tie between him and Sonny. Let's hope he can keep behind him at the start. But having a 1-2, especially on a track such as Zandvoort, where you really can block up that turn 1 and make sure no one gets past, definitely a big advantage going into the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the drivers behind, Trav and Miffy, they've got to be talking about strategy. They'll both be starting on the mediums, I believe. Are they going to be worried about the drivers behind them, Sonny and Crispy? Are they particularly red flag drivers?
No. When I've raced with them, Sonny is more likely to take himself out than he is any other driver. And I've never seen with Crispy really where sort of come out, because one driver's really been hard done by. I would trust those drivers to go side by side with. So it should be interesting to see how the start of the race turns out.
Yeah, and with Sunny and Crispy there, you expect them to keep position. It's very hard to go too wide through the first few corners, so I'm expecting the grid to resolve itself very quickly. Resolve itself can either be people going single file or getting the overtakes out, or resolve each other into a wall, which is what Brandon and Glenn did last season, Season 4 Zandvoort, the only previous time we've run it in VL. Yeah, there's obviously a nice break of people going down from first on the grid all the way to 19. We've got a massive grid. Pyro, Carlos in P10 and Brian in P17. What are you thinking about from McLaren?
Well, not ideal, but qualifying is one thing, race is the other thing. In the race, you get the points. So I hope that Carlos can do something impressive for me. I don't know Brian quite well, but I hope that he gets some points as well and has a really good start into the race, to the league. Also, what we've been notified by is Mythic got a 3 grid and Maka has a grid, meaning Maka starts from 8, while Mythi sadly has to start from 5. Which is quite unfortunate, not a P1 and not P2.
Yeah, Miffy not going to be able to start from that front row. He's now going to find himself behind Sunny, Crispy, and maybe Gaben, depending on how the penalties work. Obviously, leagues may resolve things more different to how the FIA do it in real life. Yeah, we certainly lose that Alfa Romeo third row. Maka Gaben is going to be all the way, and Maka is now going to start behind Shadow and Somtha, so 2 very good drivers. Maka, by the way, is a race winner. He won the Spanish Grand Prix, which I think was round 3 of Season 5. So this top 10 is packed with pedigree, and you can't count out the drivers that are lower down. The key message is going to be consistency. Now, Alex, with tyre strategies, we've got 36 laps. What sort of tyre strategies do you expect we'll see?
So if you're feeling very, very brave, you can push a soft medium. That becomes a lot more viable if we do get a VS or a full fat safety car. I'm expecting some variation of either a medium hard or soft hard, which is why starting on soft wasn't too detrimental for the rest of the grid. So even if you start further behind, you might even see some drivers start on the hard tyres and then look to make up some places with the softs later in the race when you've got very little.
Yeah, well said. I'm sure we'll get the magic numbers at some point, but from memory, I think you said it was about 14, 15 laps soft tyre, scaling up to about 28 for the hard tyre out of 36. So, soft medium could do the race, but it's so close. You do get down to really bare rubber on that metal when you just get to the end of your stint. It's probably not ideal, and the game does in fact recommend the soft hard, the medium hard. But yeah, as Alex says, the safety car, a couple laps of less than full speed racing does change that paradigm a little bit. So yeah, as a lot of VL races have been decided by safety car, I know my win was. We'll get to see how the field changes. Okay, predictions time. Pyro, you can do it in whatever format you like. The way me and Impress did it last week was 90, 50, 10. So something that's 90% likely to happen, 50% likely to happen, and 10% likely to happen. You can go each, or you can just go through.
I like it. No, I'm gonna do 90% likely that Travis. 50% likely that there's Carlos spinning, and 10% likely Sota being top 3.
Okay, makes sense. I have a lot of faith in Trav. I'm going to extend it to constructors and say that my 90 is Red Bull, top of constructors. They've got the reliability of Miffy in there. 50%, I did this one in Imola, but I'm going to do it again. I think my 50% is Alfa Romeo outscores Ferrari. The two teams are really evenly balanced within that project. And because of top 10 rules, Glenn has a selection headache and can't move the other two up. So yeah, that's my 50. My 10, I've flamed Brandon all of qualifying, so I'm not going to stop now. My 10 is Brandon finishes the race. He classifies. I think he's going to spin out. Like, he's a good driver, but he hasn't shown it tonight. He's just had so many spins throughout all the qualifying sessions. It's either practice, or there's something wrong on the setup, or someone's handed him a bop it instead of a controller or a wheel. So yeah, he's just not had a good time. So I'm just going to meme on him that last little bit.
For my 90, I'm going to go with there will be a safety car. I think it's very highly likely here. I think my 50% is the top three isn't going to change from the start. It's going to be Travis, Sonny, Crispy in that order.
Nice.
And I think for my 10%, I'm going to go with Franklin making it.
Okay, I like it. Spicy.
Yes.
So yeah, make sure you get those recorded. We'll be coming back to them after the race and see how they go. See if we can even visit them in the next pre-show that we do. So while that's been happening, our drivers have been finalising their setups. They've been setting the right amount of fuel, and they've been looking at what tyre strategy they want to do. The information at the bottom of our screen actually tells us that a two-stop might be a good strategy. Soft, medium, medium. It's foreign to us, but it might be an emerging strategy if conditions help. We do see the drivers go ahead on their formation.
Well, yeah, probably the game recommends a soft, medium, medium because of the wear of some drivers. Obviously, like you said earlier, the wear is gonna carry over, and the likes of Brendan. Okay, well, Brendan is on new tires, but like the likes of Carlos, he's on very worn soft tires, I remember. So maybe he has way earlier than other drivers has to it, and maybe he has to do a soft, medium, medium then, because a medium can't last, I think, 30 laps, 8 laps. How long can it last?
Yeah, I've known it's about 21, 22.
Yeah.
21.
So maybe he actually has to.
Yeah, it could be the case, and yeah, the more safety cars, the less actual rubber you need to track. Travis is absolutely just speeding off into the distance with this formation lap. I don't think anyone's told him it's not the race yet, but that's just Red Bull mentality on race day. Quick apologies. I think from the race director's office, we've rescinded the super license activity this week. So Miffy and Maka had three place grid penalties outstanding. It looks like we'll be reviewing them in the future because they are starting in the same grid positions that they earned at the end of Q3. So we do see that Red Bull front row. We do see that Alfa Romeo row 3 with Maka and Gaben 5 and 6. Pyro, just a quick one. Who do you think we should watch for the start? Someone fairly high up, but could be fun.
Salty Gaben, I say, because I feel like he has something spicy that's... Maybe he will send it somewhere.
Yeah, I think combined with the Alfa Romeo row, that could be a really good one because they'll want to hold their position and go too wide, but also that really doesn't work if they've got soft runners like Hodge and Carlos behind them. So here we go. It's momentous with two commentators sitting right beside me. The live TriCast. We're going to be seeing some VL history get made. Second race at Zandvoort. Round 6, Season 5. Lights are on and lights are off. Red Bull front row takes us away as we go around a really treacherous start of the race. I'm expecting lots of collisions here. Crispy, Sonny advancing. Crispy taking the inside against the two Red Bulls. We've got Carlos, Icarus, Brian having collisions all the way back into the grid, going too wide as we get around the first few corners. We've got Gaben and Maka holding the too wide line for Alfa Romeo as they go round into the fast section. This is a really difficult point for traction. I want to see if any drivers go off here, but they are staying on. It was too wide, and they seem to have gone into single file for now.
Yeah, we'll let you catch your breath. It looks like Miffy's dropped down from second all the way down to third. We have a yellow flag, and Sontha has retired, and Monty's spun with him. It'd be interesting to know if the contact. I think they've. There's a massive pile up. Full safety car. This is going to be very interesting. Chance for the soft runners to get off their stinky old soft tyres.
Yeah, that was huge, Alex, and I almost have to look at all the different aspects of that because I think we saw Sontha retiring initially. He's absolutely gone. Yeah. Only 18 drivers remain. There were a couple of collisions as well. I think we saw Franklin go off, and I was about to say that Franklin was the only driver who chose the hard tyre, which has been completely destroyed by the safety car. So yeah, he's doubly losing there.
And both McLaren drivers I've seen as well. Carlos dropping to P17. Brian, seen him spin. I don't know what happened to him. Started further back. And Law really going slowly. Not sure what happened there. Oh, he has a punch here left. Okay. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, the speak of the devil, Law's just going to absolutely spin all around that section. Luckily, there's a safety car, so he's going to get a chance to recover. But yeah, anyone who's driven with a puncture, it's the dubstep tyre. It just keeps wobbling. You can't go faster than, let's say, 30 or 40 without some sort of difficulties with steering. You have to hold the steering wheel or the controller to one side. It's a good thing there's a safety car there, and Law is going to have to start from the very, very back here.
Rear puncture is definitely a lot worse. That's where all your power goes to. So if you touch your go pedal slightly too hard with a rear puncture, you're in a. So it means you make your way back a lot slower than you would if it was a front puncture. You can usually manage it. Rear punctures definitely a lot harder. This is a godsend.
We're interrupting there because Pyro has his head in his hands. His stand-in captain has just retired under a safety car. How are you feeling about
No. So next season, there's a free seat for McLaren. Let's go. Well, I kind of expected it. Like I said, his aggressive style is good for the track. I kind of expected it. Let's hope Brian has a better race.
He's actually facing backwards, which is an impressive amount of spin for Carlos. So, yeah, 17 drivers remain. It's like Squid Game over here. We're calling out the number of contestants. It's rapidly reducing, and it just backs up the Q1 crazy nature of Zandvoort. To be honest, we saw a few spins from drivers like Icarus from Navor, who's in 8th at the moment. So I'm expecting some more action. Brandon's kept it together so far. One thing that I want to notice, Alex, is we've seen 5 drivers put on the hard tyres. So do you think that's the way to go? How far into the race can those land?
If you're very good with your tyres, you can probably just about push them to the end. You need to remember the safety car in this game usually lasts about 3 laps or so. So you usually take about 3 laps away from, or add 3 laps to the max 5. One thing I will say, going back to my point earlier, this is a godsend for anyone who starts on the medium tyres, because this really does open up that medium soft strategy.
Yeah, you talked about it before the race, Alex. You said medium soft, probably not the best on paper, but suddenly if you bring out a virtual safety car or the full equivalent, you can suddenly make it last, and it suddenly becomes quicker as you go through those stints. Yeah, really good outcome for those at the top with the medium. Safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap 3 of 36. And whoever made that call that Trav, Crispy, and Sunny was going to be the top 3 is looking really good right now. Smile from Alex on the right-hand side of my desk.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised Mithy dropped all the places down to 5th now. He got marked by Salty Gaben at the start, which overtook him, and Sunny also passed him really quickly. So I don't know. He has to make up this place. Maybe on the restart he can get them.
Yeah, some nice insights into Squid Game by Joycey in the Twitch chat, but we'll leave Joycey to chill for a bit longer. Hopefully he'll be back on the casting desk soon. Maybe when he makes it to my house. Hodge overtaking Blaze into P11. We are back under the green flag. Racing has resumed. And mostly things are in a single file rather than the flagrant chaos of lap 1 and people going too wide through the first sector. The end of this corner, I don't know its Dutch name, but it might be Chaos Corner for VL because it's so difficult to get traction on from going low speed into high speed. Going down this fast section afterwards, it's hard to overtake. You've got Hodge, you've got Monty, you've got Franklin.
Someone's off track.
Navor's going across the road, and Navor and Hodgson massively collide there. Remarkably, neither driver loses their car, but that's heavy damage to both. We've also got Ronaldinho off the track. He's had to recover there. So yeah, chaos everywhere.
I can see that maybe being another VSC. There's debris all over the track. I'm surprised that there isn't. Drivers are going to have to be careful going through there for a lap or 2 while that gets cleaned up. But as you said yourself, I'm really surprised no one DNF there. That was a hell of a shunt.
Yeah, the controversial thing as well when Navor came across, car had the X above it, so I'm not sure if that was a pause or a disconnect, but it's not going to matter to Hodgson, who's going to feel a real bad sense of injustice after that one. Especially because he was on the hard tyres, so he was hoping for a really long, incident-free stint.
It looks like Mithy also has a puncture or any problem because he just hit me. He's putting on the softs, he started on the mediums. On the safety car restart, actually, he also lost 2 places, which was unfortunate. He lost it to Maka and Glenn. Might be because of front wing damage, maybe. Yeah, and Hodgson really unfortunate as well, spinning. Well, Monty spins on his own as well, being all by himself.
Yeah, he's perfectly in Carlos' position there. He even had his car the wrong way as well. So yeah, it spins all over the place. If you haven't seen this track before, or you've only seen it before, it's really treacherous. We've got a yellow flag as well. Crispy having a really bad time there. He was a podium candidate, maybe still is, but he's going to have to fight his way back now. Spinning just before the DRS straight in Sector 2. Going to fight his way around the chicane. Quick observation of his car leads us to believe he still has a full wing, but he's going to have to cool his tyres down. Most importantly, reset his mental.
Yeah, it looks like, fortunately, he got away with no damage. It was... oh my... Oh, shit.
So tell us about that one, Alex.
I looked down and I saw Franklin in the air doing a 360. That was one hell of an impact. It looks like a collection between him and Shadow Hopper.
Safety car.
Don't know what's going to happen there, and we've got another full-on safety car.
Safety car number 2, please.
Again, playing into the hands of these mediums.
Yeah.
For the drivers like Hodgson, who did have to pit again, this is playing into his hands again. He can now swap over to the medium soft strategy, even though he's pitted twice already. It would be the weirdest V-stop, but he can make that work now. So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes up. It gives chance for Crispy to regain some of the time he lost with that spin. He lost places, but he is quick enough to make some overtakes happen. He can really close the gap between the cars, though, which is...
And the cars that are ahead of him, Alex, are the Project Ferrari guys. They tried this strategy in qualifying. Oh, as Glenn gets a drive-through for speeding in the safety car. Unlucky,
Glenn.
Friend. They tried the strategy in qualifying where one Ferrari driver was led out by 2 Alfa Romeos. Both Glenn and Hodge have decided to nose it up. One by crashing and one by getting a drive-through. Bloody well played, son. He's going to have to go through another lap after the safety car, then lose track position by going in for the drive-through. So a collective 3 face palms from a caster desk as we just see a massive throw. Yeah, it's exactly that sort of thing, which means drivers like Crispy aren't going to be affected too badly by just having a few knocks around the place, particularly when they've got a full wing.
Getting a drive-through under a full safety car is probably the worst time to get it, because you have to serve it within 3 laps of the safety car ending when every car is bunched up. So you are going to the back of the grid. It is possibly the game's equivalent of a stop-go penalty in regular racing. Glenn's going to feel really hard done by. What he was probably doing was looking at tyres, looking at what his deg is, what his plans were, and just didn't keep an eye on the delta, and he just let it slip under, and he's gone for it.
Yeah, it's so easy to do in Cycle, so he's going to regret that move. Or maybe not, because there's so much chaos in this race. We've seen Pyro's got a bit of hope in his eyes again, because a McLaren driver, who was P17, that's Brian by the way, is now P8 after advancing through all that chaos. Also Blaze, who I sort of have been flaming for the entire duration of the broadcast, has been doing really well. He started off pretty badly, had a few spins throughout qualifying, but he's in P7, so props to him. He's outperforming my very, very low expectations of him this race. Let's hope he can keep that up and just put a real statement of intent down for him and for his project. It's great to see all 3 project captains, Trav, Glenn and Blaze, doing pretty well if you ignore that drive-through that Glenn's just been landed with. Law's also doing well. He's on the hards. With that safety car now, we can definitely get that last time.
I tell you what, Travis is gonna be furious though, because he was putting up a gap to Sunny. It was 4 seconds very correct. And he was putting out one fast lap after the other. And then having another safety car and having Sunny close behind him again. where he has to build up the gap again. And I mean, Sunny, I feel like is a threat to Travis, and having a 4-second gap would calm down his nerves maybe, or like he can manage his tires better. And now having the gap reduced again, I don't know.
Definitely. Going into this, my sort of mental state would be, well, I've done it before after one safety car.
Yeah.
I can do it again. It's never that easy in practice. Each safety car is different, each restart is different. But we all know Travis is a good driver, that he's not really going to let that get to him. It is frustrating to have two safety cars very close to each other. But it's going to be interesting to see who makes from this. Safety car is in this lap. Interesting, while we do have Narwhal halfway across the track.
Yeah, massively disadvantaged. Didn't quite have time to catch up to the safety car. But we're going to hand over to Travis now. Hopefully he slows down to let the safety car into the pits, then accelerates. He's got to leave enough room or his engine will be shut off just when he needs it most across the line. He's weaving and he's put the power down now, trying to lead out Sunny, getting to that first corner. It's all about the mind games when you have the restart. The thumbs up are coming out from Travis's teammate Charmander because that's a brilliant restart. Sunny can't really try and go for the inside, and it's a nice run from our top few drivers. The Alfa Romeo boys in P3 and P4. Glenn just sort of crying because he's going to have to go for the drive-thru in a bit, and that's a blue flag at the back, and there's a Red Bull out of the race. Miffy has gone, and that's bad for constructors. Head in hands 2 places to my right, as Miffy, who is one of our fastest drivers, has absolutely let it slip and retired his car 9 laps into our race. Alex, how's it feeling?
I'm not gonna lie, it feels a bit shit. he was doing so well. He had a great qualifying, and it just shows you how punishing this track is. One mistake and he's DNF. No points for him, which sucks, but he should keep his head up because he did have an amazing qualifying.
What I think, I'm trying to translate for the newer people to F1 in the chat, what I think Alex just said there was, Miffy, you're trash. That's what you get for stepping up into my seat. I'm going to score points. You think you would score points in my seat? Yeah, thought so, mate. That's just a little translation of what Alex just said.
Interesting that Travis has almost broken DRS, and it's not even been turned back on yet. And we see Glenn in the pits serving his drive-through. He will go to the back of the grid, and that's Narwhal. Monty Span and disqualified for blocking the pit lane exit as Glenn was coming out. That is possibly the worst place to spin, and it's a very unfortunate disqualification for Monty.
Yeah, we saw it last time. It's horrific to get disqualified there. I think Hodge actually was a victim of it last time. Yeah. But yeah, it's a bad place.
Also was a victim once, the pit exit. If you spin it there, you're just blocking the pit exit, and the game is like, here, have a disqualification. So really, really unfortunate. And I don't know who, I think Franklin happened in qualifying where he got disqualified for just being stationary. Now Monty had it. He didn't even have a qualifying for Monty, now getting disqualified. Really, really.
Yeah, it's not what you want. One trend that I'm noticing, by the way, we have 3 rookies for this race. You've got Brian, you've got Icarus, and you've got Navor. They're all still in the race. And Icarus and Brian are in points positions, so potentially great from them. Ronaldinho as well, he's only been in the league for about 3 races, one of which is counted. So yeah, there's potential if they can stay in, watch as death and chaos rages around them, just stay in, they've got an increasingly higher chance at points positions, as Alex is cringing.
Yeah, I saw Law going around the outside of Brian there. It looks like Brian might be BC, so it's an AI. We all know how aggressive the AI can be, so the fact that he made through that with the 0 contact, and it looks like there was a bit of trading paper between Brian and Hodgson going through the corner, and Law's had a bad entry into that corner and has lost a lot of places because of it. Cars coming up the inside, interesting to see what happened there.
Yeah, really close between 4 drivers on that corner.
Yeah, Icarus also making up places there from Law's mistake. Law dropping all the way down to 11th, which is really unfortunate for him. I can't see if he has damage or something.
Yeah, I was just trying to look. It looks like Law might have damage. He is dropping quite far back, which you wouldn't expect. So, yeah, he is really. He's definitely got weight damage.
Yeah, production's just informing us that it's a barge board that's really letting him down. Lost about 6 positions so far. Glenn, who served his drive-through and is 10 laps into a stint of medium tyres, is going to overtake him. So Law going to have to pit, repair his body, repair his chassis, and get back out there. He's on the hard tyres, 24 laps to go. You could argue a medium set could just push him. But yeah, it's not convenient at all for our boy, Law.
Yeah, if you look at the top 3, the intervals really start to settle down. 1.6, 1.8 between the top 3. Interesting that Gaben is up into that 3rd place position, really taking his form from BBU. He's never really translated that into VL form, but he's really starting to come on his own, and he's towing Mako along.
Yeah, the Ferrari tow we weren't expecting, but the one that's really worked. Glenn and Hodge tried it together. Glenn tried it with Alpha. Hodge tried it with Alpha. It didn't work. I wonder what the common denominator is. Just kidding. Gaben and Mako just throttling on really well. Mako within 0.4. Normally at this point in previous seasons, you could lower your fuel mix and use this point to sort of regain your fuel advantage. Run a bit slower while you get towed behind your teammate. You can certainly do that by reducing his battery output in ERS. But finally, the tow is going to be broken as Maka goes into the pits after 11 laps of softs. 24 laps to go. This is increasingly looking like medium to the end territory. So we'll get back shortly to see what's happening.
On the hot. Wow. He's not confident enough that he can make the mediums last. I respect it. It's the safer choice, probably the more sensible choice. And who's that who spun?
Crispy. It looks like Crispy. Potential connection issue with Brian, but Crispy is the car that's gone off, the Williams driver there. And we also see another car go off the track. It's Law on the final bank corner. We've got Navor coming up to him. Hopefully there isn't a collision as Law is on the racing line and gets finally up to speed. Law's just doing a calm from Imola rather than a calm from the other 35 races he's won. So, yeah, just having a bit of a bad time. There's a nice little 13th place battle between those two.
Yeah, it's started out looking very good for the Red Bull boys. Travis is the only one left defending the fort, unfortunately. Yeah, it's really looking like it might be a Ferrari weekend. Glenn can make up positions. Maka's in a great place, having just come into the pits. Travis, interesting, setting a fastest lap on a 13-lap-old medium. He's really gunning for it. Travis won.
Yeah, definitely, and he's really hungry for it. He reminded us several times last weekend at Imola that it was 18 times since he last won. He's looking to get more. He said in the pre-show he doesn't want to win, he just wants to have a fun time. Yeah, that's Cap Trav. You want to win as well as maybe more than many of us, and he's looking for 2 in a row. Yeah, it's on the same tyre strategy. He's starting to build the gap. That's all he can do. And the only other thing in his hands might be a safety car restart when it happens. The reason we were all sort of shocked on the desk then is Brian, who's increasingly having AI issues, got very close with his automated car to Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho made the overtake, and he's going to join Sonny in the top 8, 2 Aston Martin drivers, much like Ferrari, a bit of consistency.
Yeah, next up to Brian is Franklin behind him, and Franklin has, I don't know, fallen under the radar. I haven't seen quite a lot from him. But he's coming into the top 10 now, which, well, I don't know if Brian is AI. It looks like he is AI, which is quite unfortunately. But we have behind Franklin also Glenn and Maka really close to each other. Let's hope that they're not causing an incident soon.
It really looks like Brian being a sort of cork in the bottle right now, and as soon as these cars get past, we're going to see as Ronaldinho makes his way past Crispy, I think. Or is it the other way around? Icarus it was. My apologies. And it looks like the Brian train is still going strong. It's not a track that's very easy to overtake on, especially when the air is pushing you to the out of the track. You really need to get a good run on it to make the move stick. So we're probably going to see them following behind this car for another lap or two before they're able to get past with the DRS assistance.
Franklin passed Brian now after 1 lap. Next up are Glenn and Maka, and I can. Oh, Glenn's really getting really close to Brian there. I can feel the frustration in there because they're stuck behind an AI, which slows them down quite a lot. especially Maka wants to get a move on because he's on hards, on new tires, and he can be up there. And I don't know what's the team call with Glenn, but Glenn's like, nope, I'm having this. It's my line. I will get by Brian. Are they going to wide on the straight? Or they are pushing Glenn really, really far to the right. Oh, my God, that looks
Ooh.
dangerous.
Oh, there's
Okay.
actually
And
contact
also-
there.
Maka going on the outside.
Going on the outside, much fresher tyres, but they are the hard tyres, and Maka makes the move stick.
Oh.
Brian really AI pushing Glenn to the absolute limits. Can Glenn make this move stick around the outside? It's worse traction, but he has got a better launch out, and it looks like they may have made it, although the AI is sticking with him. Going through this corner is going to be quite dangerous, and there is contact, and Glenn cedes the position to the AI.
Yeah, very difficult there. Glenn having a really tough time of it. Contact with the AI several times. AI is really difficult to get past, especially when it's so unforgiving and just keeps its own line. You always feel as though you're going to get damaged more than the AI does, as if it can't break its own wing. But yeah, the AI Brian is putting real pressure on Glenn. He had to let Maka, his own junior teammate, have a better attack at Brian. He felt that Maka was faster and just let him have a go. Unfortunately, he himself then couldn't get past Brian well enough.
Yeah, it looks like Crispy's going to have a run on Hodgson here. He's slightly far back. It's not the easiest to overtake here. You do need the DRS assistance, but he's slightly too far back on this lap. It's whether he can stay with him for the rest of this lap and utilise the DRS assistance this lap.
Maka got by Franklin in the meantime, and Franklin being the only car there with a 3-second penalty for cutting. So really unfortunate for him, but we will see how this will affect him at the end. Glenn also got past Brian finally. He's free from the AI cage. Now Law and Navo has the AI coming up soon. While Navo's spinning, no.
Yeah,
Really
that corner's
unfortunate.
difficult. Oh, and we've got a race leader travesty coming up here. This could be interesting. Navo getting off to the side well enough. You always have your heart in your mouth when this sort of thing happens. And we have a nice visceral reaction here from our Red Bull teammate on the casting desk. So, yeah, bad times for Navo, bad times for Williams. Travesty's going to keep plowing on, increasing his lead to 3 seconds. Same tyre strategy as Sonny and Gaben immediately behind.
Yeah, my heart's definitely in your mouth when you see an incident like that. You've got to make sure you're all aware of a car going back on track. He's still too far back. Looking at the rear of Hodgson, he's going to get increasingly more annoyed seeing the back of this Ferrari.
Well, Maka takes Icarus here. Yeah, Maka really wants to get up there again because he's on fresh hearts. He wants to push it. He can go to the end. He knows this. He knows Travis still has to pit Sonny, Gabe, and Brandon that is on 15 old lap softs, which is surprising. Also being up there, so Maka naturally gonna gain some places, but depending on the tires of the front rows, how far can he go?
Yeah, Maka's obviously we saw him fighting with Gaben, or rather being with Gaben and fighting against the world nice Alfa Romeo tow. But after going to the pits, he's having to fight his way back up there on a really great position because he can go to the end of the race. So Maka will naturally rise through the standings as other drivers ahead of him pit. Crispy is close to Hodgson. He didn't make the move work last time. He's built up some battery in his ERS, but the exit from that final banked corner of Sector 3 is going to be so influential. Hodge and Crispy both on medium tyres, and Hodge is just having brilliant exits at the moment. He's holding his position well.
It's worth noting Hodge's tyres, because of their safety cars, are 5 laps younger, which is really assisting in getting these exits to the DRS. That's what's most important. You are able to sort of offset the difference with a really good exit, and Hodgson's doing that consistently, what he needs to do. It's going to be interesting to see when the pit stops start to come out for these leading cars, whether they're aware of the gap between them and cars behind.
Yeah, and we've seen it a few times in real life F1, which I'm not going to talk about. We've seen it a few times in VLF1. A pit stop generally on track can be between like 18 and 30 seconds. So you've got to be mindful of what's behind you, what's in front of you. Generally, you don't tend to study the deltas that much for drivers who are that far behind, because let's say we take Trav at the moment. He's only worried about Sonny and Gaben, who are sort of 7 seconds back. But if he pits now, he'll be cut into the track. Hodge, Crispy, Ronaldinho. He suddenly has a lot more to worry about. So he's got to time his pits with the drivers around him and hope he retains that advantage. Otherwise, all that fast driving was for nothing. We've got Bleeze coming into the pits now. It's past time as well because it was 17 laps on those softs. He's going to switch to 2-lap-old mediums that he used at the start of the race and hope to finish on that compound.
Yeah, it's interesting that he didn't have a new set of mediums, so it's going to be interesting to see whether he's able to make these to the end. Looking at it, they've got to do 18 laps. They should be fairly comfortable to do that. He really stretched out that stuff. Personally, I probably would have pitted a couple of laps earlier. He was probably losing maybe a second, 2 seconds lap, just staying out on those.
DNF.
Oh, that's huge. We're going to get a quick look at the front of Bleeder's camera. As the safety car comes out, it's number 3. There is a massive amount of debris on the track, and Maka is DNF to the left.
That is possibly the worst news Brandon could have hoped for. He did a full-on stop just before the safety car comes out. He's not going to be able to recoup this time. And it's just as the drivers of Travis, Sonny, Gaben all go past their pits. This is effectively a free pit stop.
And they're all
and Sonny's gone on
Oh,
hard.
he's absolutely nosed this one up.
No.
Steve Backley, javelin for Great Britain. That wasn't even as big a throw as this one. He did the intermediates in Season 4. He did the hards in Season 5. Ladies and gentlemen, Sonny has inted his tyre strategy once again. Yeah, honestly, that's horrible. With 15 laps to go, 12 after the end of the safety car, probably. Odds are not the tech.
No,
Everyone's going to go on soft.
Hodgson has gone for the slightly safer option of mediums. Now, because he's already been on the softs, he is able to do that. It's worth noting that Travis and Sonny, they weren't able to go on another set of mediums because you do have to use 2 different compounds. But hard tyres, if the safety car, say, lasts another 3 laps, coming in at lap 14, they only have to last 12 laps.
Yeah.
Softs are going to be able to do that. Coming in on the hard, you're going to be losing 1.5 seconds per lap on a good day. This is...
And we've seen Brandon putting on 16 laps on the soft, so we know the softs can do easily.
The only thing I could understand is if he didn't have any fresh softs available, he used them all in qualifying. That's the only thing I can understand of why he's gone on hards here.
And yeah, there were 4 sets of softs. Sonny didn't really go for much in Q1, so I think even if he used sets of softs in Q1, Q3, maybe there'd only be 1 or 2 laps old. He'd rather run on those than go for a fresh set of hards, which are much slower.
Meanwhile, Brendan has 100 safety car just
No.
looks like he got the position back, but really unfortunate.
It's definitely going to be more of a frustration spin than anything else. That, as I said, for him, that's possibly the worst time safety car of worst time safety cars.
Yeah, he is going to get track position back from the drivers in front pitting, but he isn't going to be able to suddenly accelerate because of the first lap under the delta, so not great in terms of timing, as you pointed out, Alex. He's going to do what he can, though. For someone who I very much wrote off at the start of the race, he's been putting a lot of consistent laps together. His only sign of instability has been that spin under the safety car. After 12 more laps of real racing, 14 in total because of the safety car coming out, he can get himself some really good points here. At the moment, he's on course for 6 points, which at the start of the race, I'm sure he would have taken.
Sorry, just wanted to mention real quick that Neighbor is the left car that is, I think, between Hodgson and Gaben. You see it, but yeah, it's between Hodgson and Gaben. So Hodgson has, or like, Neighbor has to go to the side. Sadly, his race is gonna be done because, yeah, safety car fucks you over, and if you're 1 lap down, there's barely any recovering from it. But yeah, Hodgson has to go past Neighbor now. Hopefully, he will just let everyone by on the straight without any casualties. But yeah,
We'll see.
Sonny's overtaken Travis under the safety car. I don't know if Travis had gone off track.
Normally, the only indicator where you can pass,
Yeah, which is the only time you're legally allowed to pass a car. If I'm being honest, I don't think it's going to make that big a difference simply because... Oh, safety car's in this lap. We have very little warning.
So super late call there. Sonny's already started weaving around. He hasn't got much time to set up his aggressive strategy, but he has got to let the safety car go in. This is going to be really good here. Sonny, on the hard tyres, really has to defend, and he's going to have horrible traction coming into that first corner. Gaben and Trav are really fighting for position. Gaben having to give it back. He can't go for the safety car.
What's
and Trav has
happening to
lost so
Travis?
much here. Gaben and Crispy already getting positions on Trav. Sonny accelerating off into the distance with his hard tyres with 13 laps to go. And we've got the field already leading down into that first corner. Ronaldinho going on the inside, trying to get the moves on Hodgson. Navor already in the middle of things, been blue flagged by everyone. Blaze and Glenn together again at last. Icarus and Blood to Bleed forming the rest of our top 10. Apart from Navor, who is lapped. Everyone else proceeding down turn 4.
Travis with one of the worst restarts I've ever seen from him. Maybe he let that overtake get into his head. Looking at Crispy following Gaben quite closely, but this is going to be what Sonny wants, because the more cars battle behind him, the more his hard tyres isn't going to make much of a difference. And this is him angry driving. This is him looking to make those places back.
Yeah, I play a bit off topic. I play a game called Final Fantasy XIV with Travis. His character is a warrior with really big red eyes and an angry visage. That's him in game right now. He's just fully ready to reclaim his positions. He's mad. The robotic Travis, who doesn't make mistakes, has let himself slip. He's going to micro tilt. He's going to swear to himself, and he's going to get right back into the saddle and try and chase down those 3 people right in front of him. 12 laps to go, and Sonny is on a very difficult task of making the hard tyres last. The soft runners behind him are going to be battling for it.
Yeah, it looks like Glenn and Brandon have just overtaken each other, going side by side through sector 1. Nice, clean overtake, it looks like, by Glenn. Brandon on the older, medium tyres, really ruined that safety car. Glenn's next target is Ronaldinho as he looks to make up these places.
Yeah, further back we've got Icarus overtaking the Brian AI bot, which has had issues for most of the race. What is a bit further back. We actually have a nice Gaben incident further
Travis
back.
has a puncture. Oh, Travis has a puncture front left.
Yeah,
What happened there?
absolutely massive set of incidents there. So as it stands, leading out the race, we've got Crispy following slightly. Sonny has a penalty now, it's a 3-seconder, and Travis with the puncture has absolutely fallen way down the standing.
Oh, Gaben without a front wing.
Oh my god.
And he's just coming back onto the circuit now as we start into sector 3. The car's just in front of him, Ronaldinho, Blaze, Glenn. They've messed up the timing stack as well. Gaben's absolutely no. Trav's had a puncture. There's so much chaos happening with 11 laps to go. Sonny still leading with the hard tyres, although with a 3-second penalty. Crispy with a 0.3 delta behind him is going to chase him.
Oh, and then Brian gone.
Full safety car. We've got another safety car.
Safety car number 4, as only 12 drivers remain, which means pretty much everyone still in the race has points. He's off. Brian is our first rookie to go. Icarus and Navor standing strong. And Travis is finally going to have a bit of respite.
Yeah, this has been utter chaos after the last safety car. I don't know how to unpack it all, really.
Yeah,
with this penalty, Sonny is in a really bad state.
Yeah.
The safety car is going to bunch everyone up. He's got a 3-second penalty. Crispy, Hodgson, and Ronaldinho bearing down behind him. Anything could happen from this point.
Yeah, it's the updates from our production were so thick and fast we couldn't catch up with each one. We had several collisions. We had Sonny initially appearing to have a spin, getting just a track extension and falling back slightly. Then Travis, his main competitor, getting a puncture and falling even further back. We've got penalties further down the order. We're going to have to see what happens with the tyre strategy here. Sonny is staying out on the hard tyres with 9 laps to go. To much cringing and chagrin from the commentary desk. He's made one bad tyre decision. I think he's going to stick with it.
Unfortunately, he had to. Because this safety car was so close after the second one, the field was still bunched up. If he ends up hitting, he's just going to go to the back of the grid.
Yeah, Franklin and Glenn also pitting. The soft tyres are coming on for both of them. Fresh softs, in fact, and Icarus is going to follow shortly behind. We're just getting clarification on this from behind the scenes. Sonny appears lost control of his car and hit Gaben, who he was contesting with very closely. and that collision caught itself up with Travis. So some of our most reliable and fastest drivers colliding with 12 laps to go in this Dutch Grand Prix. And we're going to see the 4th safety car. Bernd Mailander is busy today. He's driven about half of the distance of this Grand Prix when you combine all things. And tyre strategies go to the window. What do you even do, Pyro, at this point?
Well, I'll obviously just go to the soft as you can if you have a fresh set and try to recover your race. Of course, frustrating for Travis because he was leading most of the race and having a really unfortunate restart and really unfortunate puncture, just one bad luck after the other. And well, I can see him climbing up back up there, but if it's a win, I don't know anymore because Sunny is up there, Crispy's up there that so far has no penalties, also on soft. For all laps soft, but they can last. And yeah, it will be interesting to see what Travis is able to do. While Gaben also P11, I don't know how he handles frustration, but we'll see what he is able to do as well. But that means the top 3 are not settled in because we have Sunny on hearts. Crispy might be up for taking up first place, but behind that we have Hodgson, Ronaldinho, Brandon all on mediums. Then everyone else on softs beside Neighbor. So pretty much open from my point of view.
Yeah, well said. Anything could happen, and you're starting to see, we've mentioned the names of the drivers who've had collisions happen to them a lot. The names we haven't mentioned, Crispy, Hodgson, Ronaldinho, Blaze, they're the drivers who've really avoided incident. As a result, they haven't done anything outstanding on track. They're making up most of our top 5 right now. They're going to stand to gain loads of points. Brandon, who was absolutely awful, if he doesn't mind me saying, in qualifying, is now in a position to get 10 points through just solid, consistent racing without getting penalties and without getting caught up in incidents. What an absolute feather in that guy's cap. Same with Ronaldinho. He's been fast in time trials a few times. He's presented himself in terms of impressions as a bit of a Mr. Saturday. This is going completely the other way. He's showing off his Sunday skills. He's showing off just being able to go consistently, as I've said with Brandon, avoiding that incident. And our boy Hodgson, who we've lambasted a few times in this chat, is on course to get 15 points. So yeah, fair play to them, if they can make it stick with the fresh soft runners behind them.
It's Hodgson's in a position to get a full. We can't end this like we've got another late restart again. Gonna be interesting to watch this. Backing up the pack, really trying to make sure the engine doesn't cut out.
Yeah, not too much wiggling to be honest.
There's a very close between Crispy and Sunny. And there's contact! There's debris flying all over the track.
It's everywhere. Trav and Glenn have been caught up. Navor is in there as well. I'm not sure what happened, but there's heavy collision between the two at the back. They're going into the pits, but the people at the front don't matter. The safety car has gone in. Crispy, Hodgson, Ronaldinho, they're our top 3 as we get through into the final 8 laps. We've got Blaze moving up into P5 and going 2 rounds at the corner with more. We have Sunny spinning. Sunny, Glenn, Trav are all at the back along with Navor. The race has been turned upside down.
Yeah, and Crispy leading now, and suddenly the top 3 look way different. Like I said, everything can happen. I didn't really see what happened at the restart, but it was just a clusterfuck. And well, the top 3 say thank you very much. We continue from here, and Travis retires in the meantime.
He's gone. Yeah, he's absolutely out of this race. Head on the desk from Charmander there. He must have had another flashpoint with Glenn because they were both exiting the pits there. Their dots on the map were together, so they must have collided once on the lead up to the end of that safety car restart, and again on turn 3 going through into that first lap out. So maybe anger mode has overflown and Glenn somehow got out, whereas Trav just adds his name to the casualty list. 11 drivers survive.
I think, as I understand it, this is Travis's first DNF since Canada last season.
Wow.
So
it speaks of his consistency.
He's a lot consistent driver, so the fact that he's DNF really shows you how punishing this track can be. We're looking at Gaben really right up the back of Hodgson on the softer compound of tyre. It's going to be interesting to see whether team orders are going to be implemented or this is just racing for points at this point.
Yeah, Gaben's got the soft tyres. I think if he has the run on Hodgson, he's going to make it happen. It would be, even if you're on the same team and you want Hodge to finish ahead, you're not going to deny the driver behind a good shout at getting the DRS attack. Even if you want Hodgson to get ahead, it just means you can slingshot off the back of him and make the team go ahead further. A rising tide lifts all boats, and a strategy where Ferraris can use ERS and DRS lifts all red guys into the podium positions. That's a horrible analogy, but they've just got to hope Ronaldinho, Franklin and Law don't catch up. Oh, a nice little battle coming off between Law and Franklin in the AlphaTauris. Law taking the lead for now, both drivers with penalties. Crispy is doing really well, guys. He's driving for Williams. He's just got the fastest lap of the race, 1:12.6. DRS has been enabled, and we're going to see a yellow flag there as Sonny spins off. He's going to recontrol his car. Sonny and Trav were leading the race for most of it, and they've both just faded into irrelevance, leaving Crispy to lead the race 6 laps out on the soft tyres. Pyro, give me some sanity here.
Yeah,
What's happening?
I also don't know. And this changes everything because Travis the out, Sunny may be getting a point because they were sadly 1 lap down, but this changes everything. And not only in the constructors that the others are catching up now, but also in the driver standing because these two were at the top, and now Crispy, I can't really remember which position he was, but with 25 points on to his name now, it's closing the gap, and Red Bull just having a terrible race today. Luckily, the sister team AlphaTauri getting some points by the looks of it, so a little bit of damage reduction there, but still so frustrating. And we see Salty Gaben overtaking Hodge. We'll see if we make it stick on the outside. Yeah. Hodge not really fighting it. I mean, Gaben is on the soft tires. Maybe Gaben wants to give Crispy a run for his money. He is in that 2-second gap. We'll see how much he can make Crispy fight him for his money.
It's going to be interesting to see if Ronaldinho can have a run on Hodgson, or if Gaben's going to try and sort of tow Hodgson away from him. As we see Sonny passing Narvor under blue flags. Narvor not had the best race, but he's finished.
Yeah,
he is currently in a position to finish, which you can. What's that? 7 drivers? Can't say 8 drivers.
8,
yeah, 8. You can say Narvor has beaten 8 drivers in stamina.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a treacherous track. Not often does almost half the field disappear. I don't think we've had more than half the field go in any VL race, but that's one for the historians. Glenn just nicking up the fastest lap, so a potential extra point for him. But we've got a lot of soft runners here today. With 5 laps to go, Crispy leads. Gaben has cut down his lead from 2 seconds to 1 in that last lap. He's nearly got the DRS on him. So this could be a really good close down for the 4-time BBU champion. As Hodgson and Ronaldinho in the train. Oh, we've got a massive incident there. Debris flying everywhere. Sonny is absolutely nosed in the home straight. Is he retired, Alex?
No, he's not retired. Oh no. Sunny also having a terrible race now. Who even went into the back of Sunny?
I think that was Icarus.
Yeah, Sunny retired out of frustration. There's nothing to Bell anymore.
Against all odds, Narvor is going to score a point.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
He was 1 lap down.
Whatever happens, I believe I think 1 or 2 more laps to get that 90% classification. But yeah, Narvor is going to score a point. Dormin must be patting him on the back virtually there, or in person, depending on how much of a family connection they have. Yeah, Narvor's made sure that the tortoise has beaten the hare. You can have blistering pace, but if you win the race for half of it and then crash out, you're not going to get anything. Narvor and Icarus, 2 rookies, are propping up our table at the moment, but they are going to go home with points as things stand. Blaze having a bit of an incident, I think, towards the tail end of the last lap, but he's doing all right. Icarus having a bit of a spin, but he's going to get his car back on track. Let's look at the top. Ronaldinho within 0.5 of Hodgson, neither having a penalty. In fact, no penalties at all in the top 4. Gaben cutting Crispy's advantage down to 1.1 with 4 laps to go, or the best part of them. Pyro, who do you see winning this one?
I really think Gaben is going to take this one because he's here on 5 lap all of fresher tires than Crispy is. And he closed in 1 second a lap. Now it stagnated at 1 second. sure what really happened. Maybe dirty air or the tires also falling off. But I feel like it could be close. But I can't see Gaben winning this one because I don't know. Crispy has the older tires and soft. When they fall off, they fall off.
I don't mean to ego brag, but it looks like my 10% to come to fruition.
Tell me more for the viewers who don't remember.
As my 10%, I predicted Franklin to finish top 5.
Oh my
And he is
God.
currently in position with no one really in a position to take that from him. So barring a DNF, he is in position to take P5s in his first race back for a long time.
And I think with that correct prediction, if it lands, you'll be the most productive Red Bull driver this weekend. Yeah, sorry guys, Trav and Miffy just fuming in the pits right now. But we've got a race to finish. We've got 3 laps to go. Crispy and Gaben. It looks increasingly like the battle for the win here in the Dutch Grand Prix will be between them as they go through the undulating curves in the fast sector 1. Gaben within 1 second of Crispy. It's very important because that's the threshold at which DRS activates. Gaben needs to keep that delta for the next few corners. Crispy's 12-lap-old softs are getting close to breaking point, so Gaben needs to find his chance soon and needs to pounce.
It's going to be interesting to see whether he's got the pace difference to make it. You do need a lot to make the pass here, but with the assistance of 2 DRS zones, and it looks like Crispy is very low on ERS, whereas Gaben is quite healthy on it. It looks like Gaben really can launch an assault on the last couple of laps.
Yeah, speaking of, a great time to do that is on the home straight. It's a bit like we saw coming up to Tamburello in Imola last weekend. Gaben making a really nice exit from that corner. Crispy keeping his lead of 0.7 for now, but the slipstream is very strong. Gaben is going to go right behind the race leader Crispy for Williams Racing with just under 2 laps to go. Hodgson appears to be out of this contest on the slower tyre compound. Ronaldinho holding down 4th and Franklin with 10 points, but all eyes at the moment on Crispy and Gaben. Neither player having a penalty, both on the soft tyres fighting for the win.
Gaben needs to not make any rash moves, wait until it's his moment to pass. I know it's only 1 extra lap until the end, but he needs to, he gets 1 chance at this really, and he needs to choose it well. He can't go for any half dives, he can't really risk anything, because if he drops slightly too far back or out of that DRS, he's done for, so he needs to choose his moment.
Yeah, not the best exit from Gaben there, but he stayed in touch. The DRS has kept him right behind Crispy. He's on 13-lap-old softs. The suggested tyre life is 14. We had to go at Brandon earlier for coming in after 17 laps of softs, so Crispy is going to be feeling the burn here. It feels as though this exit is going to change so much. The next time they see the finish line after this one, it will be the checkered flag. Gaben with half a second. He might try and make a run here. Crispy defending to the inside. Gaben going around the outside here. Gets his car alongside, but not past the 2 drivers. Really close here. The BBU powerhouses fighting.
And he
goes past on the left side at the start of the final lap. He's got about 17 more turns separating him from a debut win in VL F1. This is ridiculous. Gaben and Crispy were not expecting to be the top 2 here, but they fought their way through. Alex, how are they fighting now?
Crispy's gonna have to have 1 last effort. He's got 1 DRS zone realistically to make it look, but I think we're probably gonna stay in positions we are. Crispy really hasn't got the tyres to stay with Gaben. But I have to say both drivers really do deserve this. They've had a phenomenal race, stayed out of any of the issues.
Yeah, they've kept things really nicely here. Pyro, does this guy just deserve the win here? Gaben and Crispy, how have they raced today?
Yeah. No. Both raced really cleanly. Unfortunate for Crispy because Gaben has the better tires, but yeah, both really deserved it very much. And unfortunate for the drivers that were leading. 5 seconds.
Oh, that's horrific. Ronaldinho DNFing.
Oh,
just
on
as
the last
Gaben
lap.
gains his ultimate glory, Hodge and Ronaldinho are going to collide. Ronaldinho was in 4th place.
What is
but
this
he's going to be
action?
going.
The last 2 corners and Ronaldinho DNFs.
What even is this? Franklin finishing in 4th place. We're waiting for the rest of the finishers. Ronaldinho has just been deprived of a sweet points finish at the last moment.
And he is getting 1 point because Naver is getting 2 points. He finished. Oh wait, actually not because Naver is 1 lap behind. Yeah, but okay. But at least, what is this? What happened? The last lap, no, we were thinking about Celtic Game and then Crispy, and suddenly Ronaldinho just DNFs. What happened there?
It's ridiculous, yeah. Icarus will finish ahead of Ronaldinho. He will go into P8. Ronaldinho obviously classifying on the final lap into P9. But that's such a horrible way to end a race, and it takes focus off the main story here, which is that Gaben has won the Dutch Grand Prix. He's got those 25 points. I don't know if anyone beat Glenn to that fastest lap. We'll see who our driver of the day is. It's your boy Law driving for AlphaTauri. I love that photo there. We don't get to see it too often, but when we do, it's glorious. Yeah,
Actually,
Gaben winning.
drive of the day. What do you guys think?
Okay, that's a really good one. I actually really like. I kind of want to give it to Ronaldinho as a martyrdom thing, but yeah, it's Crispy did
hard.
really well.
Yeah,
I can't look past Crispy or Gaben, and I can't look past Gaben at all. He won. He didn't get penalties. Just kept it going through the entire race, and just absolutely deserving of that win.
For me, I'm actually going to agree with the game and say Law perhaps does deserve it, because if you remember at the start of the race, he had a rear tyre puncture. He was half a lap down when the first safety car came out because it came in when he was at the other side of the track. And to recover to get P5 through all the incidents, I've got to shout out my boy Law. That's a fantastic drive along with Franklin for the other AlphaTauri.
yeah. Franklin was actually my go-to because this man wasn't involved in anything. It was just driving under the radar. Just suddenly popped out in P4, and it was like, yeah, man. He started P15, very, very, very far behind, and and just finished P4. It's amazing, but like not only Franklin, like you said, Law deserves it, Crispy deserves it, Gaben deserves it. So this was just an amazing week, and really unfortunate for the likes of Sonny and Travis leading most of the race, especially Travis. Also Miffy really unlucky, but well, that's racing for you. And then other people like said, Gaben, Crispy, Law, Franklin having such an amazing race.
As the saying goes, to finish first you have to finish.
Yeah,
Sure.
Unless you're Ronaldinho and then you get classified.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of justice there for that guy. I don't know what happened with the collision with Hodgson at the end there. It looked like a 2-second gap before the final lap. It must have been caught up. There might have been a Hodge spin. We'll find out later as the drivers convene in Racing in general. Either way, we've had a really fantastic time here. We can call out so many drivers for having a good race. It was decided on the final lap by a sub 1/10 margin of victory, with DNFs happening in the background, and with so many of the favourites just falling out to leave a completely fantastic race result there. Before we wrap up, a quick look at the standings. So before the race, Travis led the championship by 18 points. Gaben, by the way, that's his first points this season. He's won. He was in a joint P20 on 0 points. He's just picked up 25 for the win, and he's just going to put himself right in the middle of the top 10. Crispy had 27 points. He's going to pick up another 18, giving him 45, making him a contender for that top 5. In terms of the top drivers, Charmander's right by me on the desk, so didn't do too well. But then again, neither did the other two in the top, and they were racing. So yeah, you're the real winner here.
Yeah,
Alex.
in terms of my gap to the leaders, it's made all different. I'm not going to lie. The constructors, it's going to shake up a bit behind Red Bull. The gap will have closed a bit. Aston Martin were really in a position to, with Ronaldinho, actually close the gap to Red Bull a bit. But with that last minute DNF, it's more sort of shaken up the P2, P3, P4 positions in the constructors. So it's going to be interesting to see how that ends.
Yeah, so to summarise what you just said, Red Bull have lost a bit of ground, but they were so overwhelmingly dominant it won't matter for now. And the top 3 didn't obtain points in the championship, which has left room for so many drivers behind to step into that gap. It's going to close things up in the Drivers' Championship. We'll get more results out to you after drivers, constructors, steward appeals. We'll get Racing Rivals results out to you. As usual, if you want to catch this, you can catch the VOD on YouTube. And as a very special weekend, I normally cast in my room with my headphones on. It's been an absolute privilege to cast alongside Charmander and Pyrofire right next to you. Pyro, because you've travelled all this way, I'm going to give you the final word. Do you have anything to say for the community that's out there watching, or any of the VL guys that have just finished watching the Grand Prix?
No, it's just an amazing race, and I love to cast with you, especially being here. And yeah, what an amazing weekend this was. I mean, being here, casting with you guys, then also this amazing race what just happened. Well, at first it looked just like a normal race, and then suddenly just went like, oh, wait, normal race. No, we're not having this, and then just suddenly everything went boom. And then when you thought, okay, now when Sunny doesn't score points for Aston Martin, Ronaldinho does, and nope, Ronaldinho also pins it in the last lap. What an amazing weekend.
If you had to pick a race to commentate, it's got to be this one. Okay, it's been fantastic. We'll get the next track confirmed to you. I believe it was it Portimao?
From what I remember, what I understand, it should be Portimao.
Yeah, we were originally going to go to Monza, so Pyro will have to wait. I think we're going to go to Portimao. We'll wait for our racing director to confirm. It's been a fantastic Sunday night for me, hoping it has been for you, unless you're one of 8 or 9 drivers who didn't quite make it to the finish line. Have a great evening, and we'll catch you for Portimao next weekend. Stay cool.